All right, guys, we'll go ahead and start. The reason why I want a little bit later today is we have news coming out here in a little bit. Let me shut that music off. Actually, I can let it play in the background. I don't know what that does if it's too loud. There's news coming out, and we already had news. So the big thing is you can wait for an entry after news. I don't recommend trading news, especially if you're a newer trader. I don't think you should get tangled up in it. I think you should wait for news to settle and then look for an entry after that. Believe it or not, that music is called Feeding the Duck. I didn't name it. I didn't write it. It was just in here. So, but that's what it's called. I thought that was kind of funny when I found it. I'm like, well, that sounds pretty neat. So anyway, so there's our music. So so that's kind of why we waited, is just I wanted to let the news settle, or let the market kind of settle in after the news release earlier after ADP. It does move the market. Any of your employment numbers, they're going to move the market. So it's best just to stay out of the way, and we'll kind of cover that. I wanted to cover more of, instead of just doing our regular top-down analysis, covering like more what was happening this morning, why you should or shouldn't have traded, what you should be waiting for, what you should be looking for. Right now I have 3 trades on. I had another one on that I captured some profit on, and then it turned back in reverse. So now I'm in the reverse direction. So we're actually going to jump into those right now as we look to kind of see what is going on in the market. So here's the charts. Here's how I look at one of my TVs. It has these 4 charts up. And then this top left one is either going to be ES or NASDAQ. It's one or the other. It depends on which one looks better to me. And when I say looks better to me, which one it might be trending a little more, or I'm noticing higher highs, higher lows, or lower lows, lower highs. Which one looks like it might be setting up that I can get into? And it might be neither. Okay. But normally that top left is reserved for ES. Gold's at the bottom left, oil at the bottom right. Those are always opposite. Those are the first 2 things I look to get in the morning, is gold and oil. And then platinum up here all by its lonesome on the right. That unfortunately for me, it's last that I look to get into, unless there's a good setup, because I'll check all of them out in the morning. And you guys know that. We come into the charts, we check them all. So we might be seeing things reversing. As you can see where I'm in on these trades, I'm going to go in. I might get stopped out on some of these. I've got my stop here. Let me just kind of cover where I got in on this. I don't know if I have this one marked. I'm going to cover where I got in real quick on these. So I actually got in back here. So I got in, was that my entry? I'm sorry, guys. Let me look. Yeah, I got in when it broke here. So on the 1 minute, I was on the 1 minute time frame. So news popped it up. I was able to draw a decent little trade line. I mean, it just moved up. Okay, so I was able to draw that decent little move on that line, and then it came down, and this was like pre-news right here. That was like 8:24 right before news. But to me, it had a nice swing up, nice retracement, I was able to draw some lines on that. And then make sure my mic's on, guys. And then when it broke that retracement line, I was in. Now I'm on a 1 minute time frame. If I was on and pre-news, during news, I will go down to a 1 minute time frame. If I was on a 3, I would not have taken this probably because it looks different on a 3. And I got to move this, but that's what it looks like on a 3. So if I waited for a 3 minute candle to close, I wouldn't have got in until there. Okay. So again, that is why I dialed down to a 1. I will only dial down to a 1 pre and post news, like right before or right after. And if I'm trading during the news, and when I mean right after, I mean like right after. Okay. So we'll see it push one direction back. So it had a nice entry there. I felt my target for closing partial should be where? It should be the previous high. I don't expect it to get right to the tick. There's your little high. I never expect the market to go all the way to that price. I would love to see it go to that price. It did go to that price. Okay. But think of how if you got in here. So if you got in, we had another retracement back. There's my line, my retracement line. Okay. So all that is a nice retracement back to where? Back to 4-hour support. This green zone's a 4-hour support. And that was the other reason why I took that trade. I mean, if you look, it popped up, pre-news, popped back, bounced right there at the 4-hour zone, gave me the green candle. I started to, and I was like, okay, I'm in. That's all I need to see because, and I didn't wait for the candle to close because 4-hour zone, stronger support level than a 3-minute zone or a 15-minute zone. Okay. So that being said, that's why I took that. I'm like, well, that's super bullish confirmation. I mean, it's bouncing right on a 4-hour zone. I'll take it. Okay. And I only went in with like 15, closed out 10, closed out partial here. And then, and you can see where we're at now. So around where it is now, well, it just jumped. It's up about 90. It was up about 75 here, 70. It was like 70 per contract. So that was 700. So I closed out partial there. Why did I close out partial there? Because I don't always expect them to go all the way up. Like I said, if you would have got in here, and this would have been another entry, it pulled back down to the 4-hour zone. It made a green candle and it broke this retracement. It actually broke the retracement line here, tested the backside of it, green candle, go. Okay. Again, bouncing near the 4-hour. And I also have a little trade line here from that low to that low. So that is my outer trade line. You have to have something like that if your other lines are steeper. You have to, because it's going to move sideways. I mean, the market's going to move up, down, sideways. It normally takes a pause or a break after a big move. So you see a big move, takes a little sideways move, and then moves on or retraces back. So that would have been another entry, and your target should have been underneath this high. We call that an inside top, is what it's called. I didn't coin the phrase. I'm not the one that come up with the name. It's the inside of the top. Inside bottom's here. And if you look at where this pulled to, broke the retracement line, pulled to, where did these two candles turn? Inside that bottom, inside of the low. That's what I want. That is a beautiful turn, because being that it turned on the inside of this bottom, it found support at this price level where these wicks were and gave us a higher low. Beautiful. Higher high, higher low. I would have taken that entry. I was already in over here. I did not stack back in, being that we've got more news coming out. We've got, if you go out to the energies calendar and look, oil and gas, there's news coming out. So that being said, I didn't look to get in again. I could have taken that entry. I would not have taken it over here because it broke this trade line. So even though it broke this trade line, I held, because for me, I need to see lower lows and lower highs set up after it breaks a trade line. And a 1 minute candle, that's not enough for me to get in the opposite direction always. It just depends on how it looks overall. So for me, I'm seeing it bounce off of a 4-hour zone, plus this little candle and wick here did not break this low. Okay, so for me, I'm holding. My stop is where it originally was. Okay, so once I closed out partial, I did have to modify my order, change my stops. Okay, so I did have to do that. Let me go out to the chat here. So that's something I had to do. So again, you could have got in multiple times as it's trying to launch off the bottom. That's kind of how I look at it. We're trying to launch off the bottom of this thing. So we've got more news coming out. I'm going to stay in this until it takes me out. So if it does pull back, I don't know what it's going to do the rest of the morning here before news. I have no idea. It's teetering on my line. Now I can move this line, and I will. Oop, wrong one. I grabbed the wrong one. Sorry about that. And let me know, guys, if we're getting lag. I did a speed test before I come on, and it was okay, my speed. I upped this software and the streaming service here. So that should help with the video and the streaming. And I think it is. I upped what I had on it to hopefully improve that. Yeah, the inside bottom and the inside tops, I normally will close partial at those if there's enough distance there. Unfortunately, sometimes you'll get in a trade and then you've got to try and go to the top. They don't always get there. This one right here, this swing up turned right at the inside top. I mean, it just did not go, and this one here, this pullback, well, it wicked down, but where did this candle close? This candle closed right where that wick is, right where these wicks are, the inside of the bottom. That's what it takes for a perfect turn. I mean, if you see something like this come down and it turns right at that inside bottom and gives you them green candles, you're making a perfect low. I mean, to me, that is a perfect low. I would have rather seen this pull down here and turn here somewhere, but it didn't. It had other plans. Okay. I'm just along for the ride. So I haven't closed anymore. What I would have done when it popped up here, I think the whole trade was only up like 150. So for me, this is a bonus. If you're looking for that daily goal, I mean, and if you were putting on 10, you could have closed out 8 here. And like I said, that was a 70-point move to close out there. So 70 per contract. I'm not going to do the math. So that would have been a good, decent week trade for you guys. Okay. And then the bonus is on there. So the bonus on this one was up. I can't remember what it was. Where are we at right now? We're up 50 for where it is right now. I think it was 150. It was up here. So you could have closed out. That's just on this. That's on 5. So you could have closed out 1 or 2 of your other contracts, your runners. And then now it's pulled back. So the thing is that when you close partial, the big picture is when you close partial and you lock in your trade money for the day, if I would have put on 10 and closed out, say 8, and left the rest on, my stop could stay where it is all day long. And then if oil goes, I'm getting a bigger bonus. If oil comes back, if it comes back and stops me out, I have a small loss against the gains I have locked in. And I'm willing to take that risk. And this is stuff you have to decide ahead of time. You don't ever want to decide. You shouldn't be deciding this trade strategy, your trade management strategy. You shouldn't decide that after you place trade. This should all be decided before you even sit down to trade. I mean, if you have to go to another table, don't even sit and be in front of a chart. Go sit or shut your charts off or go to the dining room table or something and just sit there and make up your trade plan. If this happens, I will do this. If it goes up and I can close partial, I'm going to close partial, and then I'm going to just let the rest ride. So I want to get on, we'll get back to oil here in a little bit. So I want to get on this one. So this is gold. We were looking at gold earlier, a couple of people in the room, and gold was sideways. Okay. And where did it come off of? Well, we had a big push up off of the lower levels, off of some 4-hour zones, and it just pushed through. So big, nice push up. And you'll get these big swings up, kind of sideways movement, consolidates for a while, another swing up, sideways. We had a big sideways swing. So it could have stayed in that all day. So your options are, when it's up and down like this, is to sit on the sideline, sit out, or trade it up and down, or wait for a breakout. So I had mentioned, you can always sit and wait for a breakout. If I'm waiting on a breakout, how am I going to know when it breaks out? I could sit and stare at the chart. I could sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there and stare at the chart. Or I can place an alarm on this line. Okay. Come down, place an alarm. When the price is crossing, I just hit crossing up. And you can also do candle close, I think, on this one. Nope. Or can you? Nah. Yeah, once on bar close. I'm sorry. I'm not quite awake yet. I'm only on my second cup of coffee and I just started. So if gold is crossing up and once per bar close. So you want to wait for the bar to close and then create that alarm. Well, that's going to let you know when a candle goes up and closes on the other side of the alarm line. You can do it when a candle closes, or you can do it when it's crossing. And I'm mentioning both because I'm going to go in a little closer and look. You would also set an alarm down here. Now, what odds are in your favor? I mean, to me, it looks like it's been bullish. The other day we traded it short. We actually have a down trend line here. I don't think I have to go that far back, just a 15-minute time frame. So 15-minute time frame, it had pulled down, bounced off this zone. This is a different one we kind of drew on charting yesterday. I need to take it off. So it bounced off 4-hour zone, broke a down trend line, bullish. It broke a major zone, or bounced off major zones here. So more sideways movement. That's what we got. More sideways than anything. And then we just had it pop and run. So it's going through, just breaking our zones is what it's doing. So odds are in my favor to trade long. They just are. It's moving. It's going long. I do not try and predict turns. I know some people that do, and they take a ton of losses, and they're really big. And I know I've mentioned this before about some traders that I trade with, and one of them will literally sit there and place 3 or 4 trades saying it's not going to go any further up, and they will short it 3 to 4 times, and they are willing to take the 3 or 4 losses before they quit. And unfortunately, that means $2,000 to $6,000 for them off of what they put on. I've seen them do it multiple times. The other day, I was in there and trading live with someone, and we were out, and I did it on my phone. And you guys know we were short the whole day. So we were short the whole day, and it was on NASDAQ. So it was moving short the entire day, London session, US session, just going short. So what odds are in your favor? Go long or go short? Well, I mean, I just look at the chart and go, I mean, it doesn't take much. Okay, it's going bullish. It's been bullish through London session, going bullish. I think I better trade to the long side. Okay. So, and here's like, where is this? This is around 3 a.m. right here. So around start of the London session. Well, London session, bullish. Sideways movement for us for the start of the US session, and it continues bullish so far. So the odds are in my favor to take it long. That's what I have to say to myself. Okay. I haven't seen lower lows, lower highs, and if it broke this right here, well, then I'd have to say, okay, that bullish trend might be over. Let's look to go short. So I don't try and predict the tops and say that's as far as it's going. So that being said, that's where I'm at here. So again, alarm line right here. And you set it when it's crossing up through the alarm line or when a candle closes above the alarm line. And the reason why I'm mentioning both is because during this release here at 8:15, this was ADP and it will move the market. And so you have to be ready. And as you saw, it moved the market. Just popped up, popped down. So you don't want to get in the middle of that. If you place a trade, a pending order above this, thinking, well, if it breaks out real quick during news, I'm taking it. And if you put your stop down here into this zone, well, guess what? You were stopped out. And the only reason I know this is because back when I started trading news, that's what would happen to me. I would place a pending order for the breakout. I'd say, man, I want to be a news trader. So I want that momentum. I want that burst. I want that quick. And if you don't set a take profit on the whole thing or partial, if you put on 10 here in a pending order, you better have a low target and just close out 8. But I wouldn't get tangled up in it. There's no need to get tangled up in that. We can wait for better entries. Okay. So it pulled this candle closed above. Now, whatever you set in this platform, whatever you set your alarm on, it stays glued to that time. So if I'm on the 3-minute chart here and I place an alarm on that line, it's tied to 3-minute candles. So if I dial down to a 1-minute time frame and I see a 1-minute candle go up and close above this alarm line, I will not get notified because it's waiting on a 3-minute candle to close, which was this one. Okay, so just know that your alarms don't change with you based on the chart time frame you're on. So if you go out to a 4-hour time frame and you set an alarm on a trend line, that you want to know when a 4-hour trend line's broke. Okay, and a candle closes, if you wait for a candle close, it's going to wait till a 4-hour candle closes on the other side of the line. So just know that that's how the alarm lines work on here. I know we've never really gone over that. I'm hoping everybody already knew that. But if you go to the alarm section, then you will see that that's what it's based off of, whatever chart you set it on. So me, I was down on a 1 minute. And I've got it marked up. So here's what happened to me. Wicked up during news. That happened to everybody. Pull back. Okay. And then it turned right here. Red candle, nice bullish candle that closed, 1-minute time frame, closed above this line. Well, that's that 3-minute. Okay. This candle, this one, and this one. Because remember, this is at 8:15, I think. So yeah. So these 3 candles here, this candle closed above the line, which was as you can see, it's a support level off of a 4-hour time frame. That line's been there for a while. I didn't just put it this morning on the top of this consolidation. Okay. Again, we had that sideways movement this morning. I didn't put it there. It was already there. So I didn't have to put it there this morning. That's where we were. It pulled up to that level. Sorry, my charts are kind of, that's me. So I didn't put it there. It was already there. Gold pulled up to it, paused, went sideways, and then news popped it. Okay. So I didn't get in when that candle closed there. I waited for the pullback. So it popped up, pulled back. This is after news trading. The news was here. That's the news we expected to move the market. That's the catalyst. Well, we expect a bearish or bullish push. Guess what we got? We got a bullish push. That's a bullish push after news. Well, it turned over here, and I'm okay with that because I was able to get back in short. And now I'm down a little bit. But I was able to get in here and close partial. So what I did was I got in on this green candle. That's where I got in. My initial target, that high. That's where the news pushed it. That may be all you get. That may be all you get. So short target, definitely. And my stop was back here, just keeping it past the low in case it pulled down, because at that point I had an up trade line. I had a trade line from here to here. At that point, I have a valid line, and I could see it pulling back to test this support and resistance level, 4-hour level. So when I got in, I was fully prepared for it to pull back here and turn in this level. And then I would have loved to have seen it pushed all the way past this line. Well, it never pulled back. It never did. It just pulled back a little bit, and it turned, these wicks basically turned around this high, the inside of that area pretty much, and then popped up. You had to pull partial, and then glad I did, because then it came down. So that was my entry price. My stop never moved. I never had an area here, a good push. If this candle right here, or any of this, so along this line right here, if any of these candles would have pushed above this wick, like give me a full-blown push up above, pull back to test it, well, then my stop, I would have moved over here under these lows. I would have moved it about there. That's where I could have moved it. And then it would have been a tighter stop on my runners. So I still had runners on this trade. Okay. It came back here. My runners are in the negative a little bit, but you know, I don't care, because I have the main trade, my daily trade I have to lock in. Okay. That's the one where we close partial. So now I'm only down on the runners, and my loss was still acceptable to me. Okay. Because at that point, and again, I don't see any of this to the right. This is what I see. I see that right there. I see that it's pulled back and it's tapped my trade line and a green candle. It's time to get excited again, if you can do that. I think trading should be this boring, even on a 1-minute time frame. I don't try and get overly excited. I think that's just years of trading. You'll get used to that, and it just won't tie your stomach in knots and everything else. If you close partial, then you're down on your runners. It's not that bad, because you've already closed in a larger part of a chunk of funds that will override, hopefully, your stop loss. Okay. I didn't have to let this get to my stop loss. So there's my stop loss. So it closed, it pulled back and crossed that trade line. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I'll still hold, but I don't like where it's at. And then it popped through the support and resistance level in the 4-hour. At that point, I closed. Okay. So I lost on my runners from here to there. Because at that point, I'm like, okay, it's pulling back. And if you watch if you watch enough news releases play out, a lot of times it will move in one direction and come completely back around. Not always. So you just got to go back and look at them. And I've mentioned this before. If you want to look at trading news releases or after news releases, there is no reason why you shouldn't know how the news moves. People ask me all the time, well, ADP is coming out. What do you expect to happen? How do you think it's going to move? Do you know what I tell them? I don't tell them a thing. I don't tell them how I think it's going to move. You know why? That's not teaching somebody something. What I tell them to do is go look at the economic calendar for the year, pull up the ADP news releases. They happen every month. No surprise, no surprises. It happens at 8:15 every month it comes out. The exact same time every month. Go back. TradingView has a good replay where you can click the replay and go back to a specific date and time. Go back at 8:10 or 8 o'clock, somewhere in there, 8 o'clock, 8:10 on the replay, go down to a 1 minute time frame and tick over the candles and watch it. It's September. We just had September's. Go back and look at what happened in August. Go back to July, June, May. Go back through start at January and work your way down. Go back for at least 6 months. Go back to a year if you want. Keep track of it if you want. Log it, take a snapshot is what I recommend. Put a folder in your calendar. So your computer, put a folder in there that says news releases, news trades. And then have a folder inside that one, folder in a folder. And it says ADP. Go back and do a replay for a year or 6 months. I recommend at least going back 6 months, minimum. So go back to, say, January. I know that's longer than 6 months, but just go back to January. So January, you look at ADP, tick over for the first hour at least, okay, to 9:15, 9:30. And if you want, I would go further. I would go to 10. And you don't have to tick it over minute by minute. I suggest ticking it over, go to 8:10 a.m. Eastern, and tick it over minute by minute and see what it does right at news. And maybe tick it over till 8:30. After that, just scroll over to about 10:30. The first, 2 hours in the market after news. Scroll over to 10:30 and then take a screenshot. Save that in your folder and label it January. Do one February, March, April, May. Do it all the way through till you get to today's. Today, we know what happens. This is what happened today after ADP. Shot up real quick, pulled back, gently kind of cruised on up there to the high, and then reversed. We know what happened. And that's kind of why I got that late start, because I know I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what's it going to do? What's it going to do? Well, go back and look at the past, see what it's done, and that will help you prepare for what may happen next month. We had to me, this was a good entry. It broke a 4-hour level. So I'm like, okay, we had a good push up, bullish movement, good bullish push, pull back a little bit, bullish push again. So that created a higher low than over here. And I just sat, we just had a retracement. I wasn't in yet. So when it retraced, I had a trend line drawn from here to here. It just turned there. I did not get in on this green candle because it was where? It was below the 4-hour support resistance. This candle closed above 4-hour support resistance, also above these highs, this high. It's making a higher high. So to me, I'm like, made a high above 4-hour support resistance. Came back and made a low, came back and made a higher high above the 4-hour resistance, above this. There's my entry. I just knew that better be my target, because that may be all it goes, because I've traded enough news releases to know that sometimes they move one way quite a decent bit. That's a decent move. And then they turn. So knowing that, I'm prepared. Okay? Because I've been through it before. And that's why I recommend looking at replays. When you go look at the replays like that and do this, and you take a screenshot, and you've got from January on, next month you'll take October screen. I'd take this screenshot now and put it in my folder. So next month in October, ADP is coming up. And it's not a surprise, guys. You can do this over the weekend. So for those that are working and don't have a lot of time, if you're working through the week, well, then you could do it in the evening. I mean, in ADP, I knew, in a month in advance when ADP is coming out. It's on the calendar. So every weekend, I like to look at the calendar. And you guys know I've mentioned that. On Sunday night, we prepare, or any time of the weekend, prepare your charts for the week. But you can also look at the weekly news calendar. And you can write it down on your desk somewhere on a piece of paper when the news releases come out. In our Discord, we have a little section called News Talk. And I post in there, but there's also other people that post in there news releases, like when they're coming out. So again, that's to help other traders know that, you might want to button up your stop, tighten your stops, close some, stuff like that. So back to the trade. So it pulled that candle there that pulled back through the 4-hour zone. I'm like, I'm going to bail. I've seen it too many times where it's gone up, pulled all the way back. So at that point, I went ahead and closed out my runners, took the loss, did not get in short because that's not confirmation for me enough. Okay. Sometimes I miss it because sometimes after that candle, it just like a train, rocket, whatever you want to call it. I guess in this case, it'd be a submarine diving. If it was going up, it'd be a rocket. So just like a submarine, straight to the bottom. Sometimes that happens, and then you miss that. For me, I'm going to wait for further signs. Okay. So for me here, and I just got taken out of something. We'll have to look. So for me, the confirmation was this. It pulled down here to make a low. Okay. Pulled down. Couple green candles. I know it's pulling back. Where is this low? Well, it's under this one. And again, if we're going bullish, we need higher highs, higher lows. If we're going bearish, lower low, lower high. And then we got the lower low. So right there, I'm still not jumping in. It's extended. I mean, this is an extension. I want to wait on a pullback. I want to get in on a better price. Give me more confirmation that you're going short. That's not enough for me. Right now, this right here could just be a pullback, larger pullback, whoop, right there, and it could turn and go up. So I need more confirmation. So it did just that. 2 candles up, where 4-hour support and resistance level. Okay, I buy that. I buy that it hit that and stopped. I'll bite. Red candle, I was in. That's the candle I got in on. And there's the order still on. Okay, so that was my entry. My stop, you see where my stop is. I went a little tighter. I did not go. I used the current level. I used this level right here. Okay, and if you look over, you see a low here. You see a couple candles here. So I just said, okay, you know what? I'm going to use that. Keep it tighter because it is a news release. I'm not willing to take a bigger risk. I could have had my stop up here. If I was in a typical trade, my stop in a 3-minute chart, my stop would be up here. Okay, but this is news. So went tighter with my stop and then was able to close partial, and I know it's pulled back. We've sat through some negative. So here it's pulled down. I only have 2 runners on, so there's not much I could do. We could have added back in. So every time it's pulled back to that 4-hour line, I could have added in. I would have loved to have added in somewhere in there, but I hope you can see how it's pulled and hit that 4-hour zone. That's where you're going to add back in to another trade. So I get people all the time. I love this example. So this is kind of perfect. So let's say you put on 10, and that's what I put on there. I just put on 10. So you put on 10, it pulls down, you close 8. Boom, 1 trade locked in. All right. So 1 trade locked in, you have 2 running. It pulls back. I don't care if you did it here on this red candle, or it pulled back, you did on this red candle, which is about the same price, or when it pulled back, you put it on here. There's 3 chances. 1, 2, 3. There were 3 opportunities to go ahead and take it short. Okay. This one took off a little, not enough to pull partial. This last one, if you did it then, enough to pull partial quickly. This one, if you got in here, you sat sideways forever and in the negative for a while. You never know. And this one too, like I said, if you got in here, you wouldn't have been able to close partial yet, pull back, you'd be in the negative for a while. The only entry that you didn't have to sit in the negative for a while was this last one. Well, you never know which one that is. I can look now and say, man, and you guys can look and go, well, I wouldn't have taken that one because it never went to partial. I wouldn't have taken that. It never went to partial. It's easy to look now. But when you're trading, and you're over here looking at this right there, you're going, oh, it pulled back to 4 hour. Boom. I could put a trade on. That's the one you would take. That's it. That would have been the one you would take if you get to close the first trade's partial. Okay. It just never went. It wasn't ready to go. So you could have added another trade to any one of those, put on 10, and it don't matter if it was this one, or this one. You're putting on 10, you close partial when it goes down to give it to you. You'll see where I closed partial. I closed out 10 contracts here, or actually I put 12 on. Sorry. I wrote it right there. I did that for a reason, and I'm not even reading my own text. I put on 12, not 10. And that was so I could close 10 and have 2 runners. So I closed out 10 here, and that was just a little $300. So you do the same anywhere over here. So you'll see that this entry was not quite as good as mine. So if you waited and you said, you know what, this is like my third signal that it's probably going to go back short, I'll get back in. And if you got a short there, well, then you close partial here. So don't be afraid to use the pending order to close out partial. If you put on 10, then close out 8, 6, whatever, close out half. Use your pending order to close out automatically, close out part of your trade, your partial, to lock in your daily trade goal. All right. I won't go into depth on that, but you should know how much you want to make per month or need to make to survive. Divide that by 4 weeks, divide that by 5 days. If you could trade 5 days in a week, if you can only trade 3 days a week, well, then divide it by 3. Okay. So however many days you can sit and trade. So that right there should be my close partial is what do I want to see per trade? Well, I'm on a news trade. I don't expect them to run. If they run, that's what my runners are for. If it keeps going, that's what my runners are for. I don't expect that. I love to sit there. Guys, so this right here was a little $300 trade. It's not much. It's not much for me. But you take 3 or 4 of those a day, where are you at? You take 3 a day, you're at almost $1,000. And then with the bonus, you're getting over 1,000. I'm sorry, but $1,000 a day, 20 days a month. I know everybody in here can do the math. So that's why these, and this is a little $50,000 account. This one's not that much. Okay, it's a smaller account. So that's why I'm trading with those the way I am on this one. So that being said, again, boom, 300. How many do you need? Well, there's one. I say it all the time. I know construction guys are, and the only reason I use construction guys is because I used to be in construction, that make 8 hours a day, $20 an hour. They make $160 a day. Okay. So right there, you've made 2 days wage as far as they're concerned. So again, figure out what you need and take that from the market. Grab it, lock it in, and take it. Take what you need out so that you can survive the long haul. And then the runners are there for bonus. I don't know if this is going to break a run or not. I don't really care. I'm willing to accept this loss where it is. I'm not moving my stop yet. It has to break here. This is the bottom of that range that was before news. And right now it's in between the range. So I hope you guys can see that. It did nothing but hit the bottom of that range from before news, pull back, hit the top of the range, pull back, hit the bottom of the range. I'm going to trade short overall because news pushed it up, but then the bearish side of the market came in and pushed it back down. So to me, my bias is going to be in the shorts. So as it pulls back now, next time, if it pulls back up here as this, can that break to the high side? Sure. But I'll be willing to take that loss because the odds are in my favor that it is going to push back. And we had a huge push up. So after the huge push up we had during London session, US session start before the US session, are we just getting a complete reversal? I don't know yet. For me, if it pulls down below this bottom of this range, if it pulls below that and makes a low, well, then I see it pulling back and testing that, then yes, I think we're in for a longer fall. If it stays above this range, so you can trade the range back and forth, but I would only trade it short right now. But that being said, if it pops above the range and we get it to go up and close above and come back and test it, well then, and I get bullish candles, so that, higher high than over here, higher low, well then I would have to look at it and my bias would probably be on the long side. So, but in the meantime, if it pulls back up to the top of the range, I would go ahead and short it again. Now, I don't have to short it right now, and I wouldn't because it's extended. We're in a push. We had a pullback, perfect entry. Pullback entry, pullback entry, pullback. We had perfect entries. 3 times it waited. And then you got in, and it's extended. Now is not the right time to put on a short. You'd wait for it to pull back. If you're not in, pop a line in here and just set an alert on that. Now, don't set it up here on the 4-hour line. I mean, you could set one there, but don't expect it to pull all the way back there and tap that just to signal you. Okay? So instead, set an alarm before that and just put it when price is crossing that. Not close past. You don't have to wait till it closes past. But when you set your alarm, put that it's crossing. I want to know when it's crossing up. And I'm not going to do once per bar close. I don't want to know when a bar closes past. I want to know when it is tapped that line. Now, if you do it when a bar closes past, I would not set this alarm on a 15-minute, 10-minute, 4-hour. I would set it on like a 1-minute or 3-minute if you're going to wait for bar to close. So I could wait for a 1-minute bar to close. That doesn't mean I'm going to take it short right then. It means I'm going to look for it to turn. Okay. So that'll give you a kind of a heads up. That'll be a heads up alarm if it pulls back. Okay. So right now that's kind of the 2 plans on that. But I just wanted to go over the 2 trades. So I took one in here. Again, my target was that previous high. That has to be. It's a new spike. It may never get there. So I got in with a really tight. This was really tight target. All right. And then I closed out at a partial loss on my 2 runners. Closed out when that candle right there formed. No, it was this one. Sorry. It was when it closed below the 4-hour line. That's where I closed. And then I had this positive trade over here, which is still on. So I still have runners on. Not an area to move a stop. If I move my stop down here, I should just plan on getting it stopped out. Okay. Because I think you guys can see, here's our previous highs here, right here. So I could see it, and it just peaked up ever so slightly. Just the wicks popping up above the 4-hour. So I could see it. If it starts pulling back, I could see it pop up here and wick above. I think my stop's out of the way. Hopefully it is. I'm not going to move it back. I'm not going to move my stop back up to give it more room. If it comes up here and starts turning, but there's a wick that comes up and takes me out, I'm out. I can still always get back in on that new red candle there. Now I got to go back out. So we're out of oil. This is the other one I'm in. So oil's gone, gold's on hold, or we're still in it. And this was the other. So this is NASDAQ. And we had a good healthy pullback here, and I wasn't watching. So I got in after news, and it had pulled down. Let me get this stuff off to the right, out of the way. So before news, I had drawn a line here down off those 2 highs just to see how it kind of played out. And it was really just sideways here with a lower low. this low's lower than that, or this high's lower than that one, lower highs, and that high's lower than that one, but the lows are the same, sideways movement. So it broke through that, pulled back, and made a lower high, and then shot down off that and turned right here. Okay, that right there, that big long green 1 minute candle is what? It's news. That's when unemployment claims come out. I don't even touch these NASDAQ, ES, any of the indices during news. I want to wait for a setup. I will not touch them at news. And also, I like to wait till 9:30. I like to wait for their market to open. The U.S. stock market opens at 9:30 Eastern. So that's when the market makers, the fund managers, the big corporations, the governments, the big banks, and I'm not talking your little local bank. When we say big banks, we're talking about the big seven. That's when they're trading with heavy funds. So that's when it starts. When the stock market opens, that's when you expect stocks to move, indices to move, anything tied to the stock market. So that's why I will look at gold and oil, and start looking in the morning. Whenever I get up, 7, 6, well, I'm up at 5:30, but I don't always start looking at the charts at 5:30. If I'm in a trade overnight, I will peek in on my phone. But then I've got get kids ready for school and everything else. So I won't start looking at NASDAQ and ES till I get back to the computer. And then the only way I will take it before their market opens is if I see a good setup. It has to be a good setup. It just has to be a good entry. I only want those 100% A+ setups. I'll take a 90. But if it's like a 70 or 80%, I'm not taking it. Don't need to. You don't need to trade that bad. But this is kind of, you benefit by trading multiple instruments. And I'm not telling everybody to go out and trade multiple instruments by any means. You should focus on one. Once you get that down, MC, I hate using you as an example, but I think I'm going to. He only trades platinum. That's it. His focus is platinum. He will look at the 4 hour, and I think maybe he peeks at the daily, but he will look out at the 4 hour. He takes his entries on the 1 hour time frame and's been successful at it, and takes it before I'm even up and out of bed. He's in there trading. Didn't you ask me the other day about oil? I know he's in here. I don't know. We'll see if he's listening. So, but I believe he asked me about oil the other day, that he had started, not really asked me, but said that he was starting to look at oil as a second instrument. And hopefully he'll pop in or let us know if I'm wrong or right. But I'm pretty sure he had said that he was going to start looking at oil. But that's only after and I don't want to say mastered platinum. I haven't mastered platinum. You don't really master an instrument. You master your trade craft. You master your analysis. You master your trade management, your risk management, your account management. Those are 3 things that you should know about, and you should be able to master. Okay. You can master those. As far as mastering an instrument, no, I don't think you really ever master them, but you can definitely be successful at trading them. Okay. I don't consider myself a master of gold or oil, or I can trade them successfully, but in the most part, that's because I've mastered my entries, my entry criteria, my entry checklist. I've mastered that. I created an entry checklist for myself that has percentages. I've mastered that. That's what I've worked on. And that started with Forex. So I don't have to master an instrument. I have to master my trade craft, my trade criteria. I've mastered trading that. I've mastered pulling partial. That's pretty easy to do. Close partial. put on a pending order in the opposite direction, but leave a couple contracts on. So you get in long with 10, like earlier, I got in with 12 contracts and I closed out 10, left 2 runners. That's pretty easy to do. So you have to learn how to master picking the entries, how to pick the best entries. Well, that's your checklist. All you got to do is work on that checklist. Stick to my checklist. I don't care what it's doing, how volatile it is, what the movements are. If it doesn't meet my checklist, I'm not taking it. So work on the checklist and get in that. Work on the pulling partial. Master those things and you'll be a successful trader. Okay. So anyways, that was my line that I drew. This was the news candle. Okay. That's 8:30. And you can look out at the news, and the news, we've got that news thread, and some people have put that in too. So that was the news. Pop a high on there. And again, during news, a lot of times things pull back to where they were. Sometimes they reverse. I just showed you on gold. How it popped up ADP and then pulled back and then reversed. I mean, it pulled all the way back into that sideways movement it was in, back and forth. So this one, news, pulled back to the back of that trend line. Now, notice I didn't move it. I drew it from here down to here. That was the initial move. Nice bearish move. That's where I drew it. And I just drew it and left it. I saw that it peaked above here, just a wick. So that's not enough for me to move. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to move. I'm going to leave it where it is. This is before the market opened. So this popped above. I didn't move it. Like, no, I'm going to leave it where it was. And then if you look where it turned right there. So that was all pre-news. So before news, it was pulling up. And again, I'm not interested in trading news on this at all. Not right at the moment. Okay, that gets you into trouble. And as I mentioned on gold, if you would have put on a trade, I measured it out. And if you would have put on a trade above the high on gold, where it was, let's see, how many charts is that? Bitcoin. Probably be easier for me to go back out. There's gold. This right here. Well, where's my lines? I think I deleted a line on there, guys. Well, that's a big bummer. There it is. All right. So this news candle here, again, we had a range. This 4-hour support resistance level was the top. This was the bottom. If you tried to trade the news breakout and you got in long there, put on a pending order, put your stop back in the zone. If your stop wasn't down here, you've been stopped out. Quick $200, $300 loss. Okay. So quick $200, $300 loss. So it's not worth doing. It's worth waiting on, but it is not worth doing. So you have to decide, are you going to be a news trader or not? If you are a news trader, don't trade the first couple minutes. Just let it pan out. Let's see. Let me put this back on NQ. All right. So that's the difference in like trading right at news. So that was my trend line that I drew. It broke, pulled back, bounced. You'll notice I didn't get in here. My order's way up here. I didn't get in. So I saw it form that, pull back up here, saw it form that higher low. Okay. And then we get in toward 9. It pulled back, turned. I could have taken that. Okay. I did not really like where it was, so I didn't take that. And I took it over in here. Was it here? Oh, it was this one. I think it was that little bounce. Yeah. I think it was that little bounce right there. So that's where my order is. So I could have taken it here. I just didn't. So that's where I took it long. My target was the news high, knowing that it could stall here. Okay. And it did. It stalled there. and then it broke through, but we were in here talking. So I'm glad we were, because I missed it break that trend line. I don't know if I'd have got out there. Let me get my charts right. No, I don't want that. Sorry, guys. I don't know if I'd have got out there or not. So if I would have been watching it, I probably would have closed that. You see where it broke that trade line. My up trade line was from back here to the off that wick and extended out. It broke right there. So if I was trading that or watching that, I might have got out. And that meant I would have missed the whole entire move that it's at right now. And yes, I'm watching it go down the negative. Guys, I don't really care. It's pulling negative right now because it was up like 400 something. But I'd rather leave it on. And I'm going to move my stop on that. We'll move it here in a minute. That trend line broke. I probably would have closed. And then you're scrambling when it pulls back up here to get back in. That is the one drawback to trend lines, is that they are straight, they are linear, and the market doesn't move that way. We don't get straight moves. We get back and forth movements, highs and lows. So that being said, we don't expect the trend lines and stuff to hold up long term, and they get broken a lot. This is where I've mentioned using, and I don't want to get into using a bunch of other indicators because I don't believe you need other indicators, but I'm a firm believer that you can use one on stop management. That's your trade management, to manage your stop. And I'm going to pull one on here and look. Now, I got in on this on a 1 minute. I don't trade 1 minute time frames except news. I trade 3. So I'm going to dial it out to a 3, and we're going to see what this looks like overall. So once in a trade and I'm up, and after news is passed for quite a while, I'll turn it to a 3 and then monitor it for the day. Okay. And there's tools you can get, and I don't know if this one's set up. Yeah, you got to ignore those. All this is a, I know I've got it labeled scalping, but you don't take these. Don't ever use this tool or anyone like it as a scalping to get in and out, or you'll take a lot of false signals. So even this, which is a stop management tool, is how you'd use it, signals that it might be over. It would time to get out, time to close. So even that says that on a 3 minute says that, okay, you need to get out. Only if I dial it to a 5 would it look better. Even then I get a orange. So that would say to get out. So you got to be careful when you pick these tools. Some people use moving averages, and I can guarantee if they used moving average on there, it would be the same thing. It would have told them to get out. Okay. So right now I'm up on it. So let's look and see where it is. So where this line right here was off news. So that was the news wick. Well, we had a candle close above it. We had a nice bullish push. Where's this line from? I don't know. Let's go look. Trying to pull into from the left. Come on, give me candles. Oh, that was an old wick back in here. So that's what it's pulled to. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to move it because I'd rather look at like this right here. I could see where that was from. And I'm kind of looking to see like here. We had a definite bounce there. Pulled up, pulled clear back. Nice pull up, reverse, all the way back. So I want to be aware of that price level. I'll just look to the left, see, yep, kind of right in there. This is kind of messy in here. I'm not going to look for a point to attach it to. So I could see that being a valid price point. And I don't have to look to the left. Basically, because of this big swing here and big reverse, that to me looks like a, that looks to me like a good turning point. I mean, obviously the market turned there. So will it turn there again? So now as we go over to the right, and you know, when you look at these, there's that mark right there. So I could see it pulling all the way back there, and that acting as like support. And that's pretty much where we are now. We're not to that line yet. But if you look at the move up went right to that price level. That price point is off of that swing. Nice swing up, pulled all the way back. So I could see that not stopping here. I could see it pulling down to test this price level. And I've also got this trade line, which doesn't always pan out. I mean, it broke it here. So I'll leave it on there, but I just know that may not be respected. If it pulls below, if it pulls back into here, then it's probably going to come down. I don't want to be taken out in the negative. I mean, I was like up, what, 400 something on the runner? One runner. That you know. And again, look at your monthly, look at your daily. So for some people, you look at that 400 and you go, man, if I closed out the 400, I'm only looking for 200 a day. That's 2 days worth of trading on a runner that I actually was talking through while it was moving. I'm going to move my stop. I can move my stop here. Well, that's better than break even. I can move it here. That's below the news high. Okay. I see back here, we have a nice high here. Nice swing high. That also, it wicked below a little bit. Don't really need to go back in here to find, I can find point. You can find points all day long. So what I'm trying to do is look for a logical place to set my stop. That if it pulls back into, obviously, I know that this may not hold up. I think it's either going to bounce here and go back, make another run up here, or it's going to pull back here deeper and test this area. So that being said, I would love it if it keeps going long for the rest of the day. So am I willing to take the chance? And am I willing to lose this profit right here? So I'm up like what, 330, 320? Okay, so I'm up 320 on one here. That's about what, quarter of the move? So I'm not, if it comes back and stops me out, I won't even lock in 100 on that runner. That's about a quarter of this whole move. And I'm just eyeballing it for the mathematicians. I'm not measuring it. So I'm not going to lock in much. Let's say 80, 90 bucks, whatever. Not even 100. So am I okay with that? There's two questions I have to ask myself. Am I okay with that? Is one. If I am, yeah, I'm okay with that. And I'll just let it go. And if it keeps going and making higher highs, higher lows, you know, if it breaks this high here, it's making a higher high, I'll look to move my stop. I can set an alarm on that level that I want a 3-minute candle to close above that line. 3-minute candle closes above that line. I know it's making a higher high because it's broke past here. I'll look to move my stop. And at that point, I would move my stop under here, under that swing low. That would be acceptable. Right now, I can't do that because I full well know it may pull back to test this area, okay? So as of right now, if I want to let it go for the gold, you know, let it run all day, I'll stay in. This is where my stop needs to be. I could move it up into here between these, but I have this wick here and we have the high over here. That would have been our gold trade closing. That noise right there. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, probably. That should have been the gold trade closing. So anyways, that's where I move my stop on there. If it pulls back here, so be it. But this is the bonus. So this is the bonus runner. If it pulls back there, I'm out. I could set an alarm here, like on the, I would set it on this line, that if it crosses and breaks through this line right here, it's probably going to stop me out because it's broke through here. Okay. So that would be where I'd set an alarm. In the meantime, I'd have an alarm up here as well, like I said. And let's do that one because I definitely want to know if that gets broke. 3-minute alarm. I'd want to know if it's, I don't really know if, I want to know if it's crossing up, but I want to know if a candle closes. I don't want to know just when a wick pops through that. I want to know that a candle's closed above there. If a candle closes above there, I'm going to move my stop. All right. So I want to know when a candle closes above there. And then there's my alarm. All right. So let's peek back. Someone asked about, oh, I don't even know if I have that on the chart. I don't think I've got this, my Canadian trade on this charting. I may have to do that. So there I am. I'm pulled out. So there's our pullback. And I don't know, guys, this is gold right here. This is, you know, I was in short from way back over here. Runner on. I'm in here blabbing. It actually went to a 4-hour zone that I should have had alarm set down here in the area, but I didn't. So it pulled back to stop out the runners. Okay, I'm okay because we're in here talking. But we could have closed. I could have, what did I have on there? I had 2. Could have closed out 1 as it pulled here. And then as of right now, it pulled all the way back above that 4-hour high. So you have to be a little cautious. I'm going to take this line off because we were using it as an entry example. But this is why you have to wait for red candles. If you're going to go bearish, wait for red candle. If you're going to go bullish, wait for green. The only reason is because I don't enter short against a bullish move unless I see a red candle. That's my extra 10% confirmation. There are people that trade off the price and they say if it pulls up like this and taps that price, I'm going to get in. For me, I would rather play it a little safer, put the odds in my favor. I don't know if I can get these on quick enough and do that. There's my retracement line. It bullish move. I'm not entering short right when it hits here. I'd rather wait because it did break that 4-hour zone. So we need to see it break this bullish move up. I'm not going to get in right on a candle crossing this line. I would rather wait for it to pull back, and I want to see this hold up as resistance. Because as of right now, the bullish part side of the market came and pushed it above a 4-hour level. Okay. So it could break and run without me. We might witness that. We might witness it break and run without me. And I'm okay with that if I miss it. But for me, I want to see it, whatever it does here. I don't know. Guys, it could pop clear down here. But for me, I want to see it come up here. And I don't care what it does in here. But I'd want to see, I would want to see a bounce in there. Okay. I'd want to see it pull back to test that. So that's just extra confirmation. Riskier trade is shorting right now. That's a riskier trade. And I could do that. I mean, it just barely broke this level. So I could could have shorted right there after that candle close. I would not have done it with full contracts. It's a riskier trade getting in just because that trend line's broke. Wait for the pullback. And we're getting a pullback. I have to remember I'm on a 1-minute time frame as well. So levels don't necessarily hold up against the 1 minute. If we look at a 3, let's look at a 3 and see how this looks right here. Because on a 1 minute, it broke through, pulled back. How many of you think that's just a wick in there? There's your 3. It's actually a pull through and a pull back. 2 different 3-minute candles. So that move right there, part of it is 1 candle, probably these 3 right here. Those 3 candles is part of that move where it closed above the 4-hour line And when it came back to test it, you have these 3 candles. Okay. And that actually makes up those 2 candles. So candle closed above the 4-hour support resistance level. Not enough signal to get in, not enough criteria to get in that trade. Wait for it to test it. It tested it and failed. It pulled back through. So again, this is not enough to get in on a line break. It just isn't. If you're on a 1 minute, you can or a 3. You could have taken that risk, but you need to go in lighter. It's not 100% or A+ setup. So that's what you have to keep in mind. So right now I'm not even in. We'll wait and see how this looks up here. So on the breakouts, John, let's see, we're already on gold here. It's hard to spot. If you come to the chart and that's what you see, you can see that's in a range. Okay. I mean, that's easy to see. When you come to a chart late, I consider this like late. I came to the chart, I look, it's already ranging. I can see that now. Here's what's hard. Is that right there? At that point in time, we have no idea that that's going to go sideways in range. I mean, we have none. I mean, a nice sweep up, a little more sideways movement, pause in the market, nice sweep up. And after these nice big sweeps, you expect it to go sideways for a while. You know, pull back some, go sideways. And then we get a push on that. We just had an alarm go off. So at this point in time right here, where we look on the right side, we really don't know that it's going to range. So there's no way to kind of predict that. Unfortunately, the only way you know it's ranging is after you see some highs and lows. So the best way to kind of do this, obviously, is to look forward and charting as the market moves. And as you're charting, watch the bounces, the highs and lows. Also watch your levels. So the only other thing I could say here, because we would not have had this line here, it says bottom of range. We just wouldn't have. Okay, that would not have been there. I watch my highs and lows though. If you look at my charts at the end of the day, these little RAID lines, they're all over the place. At the end of the trading day, they are literally all over my charts. Because as it pulls up, I would mark that level. Kind of open these up a little bit. So as it pulls up and back, I mark that high. Okay. It pulled back for a dip. I'm going to mark that low. I don't know if those are going to hold up. I'm just marking them. I have a high and a low mark. I also have a 4-hour level up here. So that's going to be a strong level of resistance. Should be. It's a 4-hour zone or 4-hour level. Okay. So I will mark the high and low. If it comes up and breaks this high, well, it's not in a range. So always look at your swings. And as you tick over, it broke a little bit. Okay. I'd leave it. It's just a wick. As of now, I'm going to leave it. If I get a candle close above that, we're not ranging. Another wick above. So to me, I look at that and say, you know what? We're still trying to push up. So I don't know though, because my candles are closing below. That could be a top. There it pulls back. So we have a low marked. If that low is broken, well then we might not be in a range. So unfortunately, as it ticks over, now at that point I could say, you know what? I have a strong feeling that might be as high as it goes right now. I want to wait for it to break out above that before I go long. But for me, I have a caution. I have to be cautious because I have a 4-hour, that support and resistance levels off a 4-hour time frame. So for me, if I got in on the break of this, if this level is not far enough for me to pull partial, then I'm not going to full contract on it. I would go in light. Go in light. If it breaks through the top of that 4 hour and comes back to test it, you can always add to your position. But that's kind of, like I said, you don't know something's going to, oh gosh, I changed charts. Sorry, guys. See there, it broke through. So at that point, it's made a new high. So is it range bound? Right now, it's not still. I mean, it pulled up, made a higher low. We're making a higher high. So it is still pushing to the bullish side. So I would move my line and mark that. I'd leave the low one. You could leave it because that's the lowest point. If it pulls past this, then it's breaking to the low side. You tick it over, it's hanging out above there. It's kind of like what I call more of a range shift where, it's really tight there. So you'll see how it tracked down. It turned right here. So really more at this point, since it pulled down to test this, yep, I could say definitely it's sideways. But now you don't know if that's going to hold up. That's the only thing. So how to prepare for this as far as a breakout is, one, it turned right here at this level. So at that point, I'm going to draw that and go, okay, if that breaks to the low side, and for me, it really has to break this. Because you see this big steep push up right here, big steep push up. If it breaks those levels, I see it dropping, clear to this high. I mean, there's just a big steep move up. There's no real support levels in here. If you look at the wicks, though, you see a green candle, which is bullish. But you see, so the bullish side of the market pushed it up, but the bearish side of the market pushed it back. So you've had bearish resistance as it started pulling off this 4 hour zone. Bearish resistance off there. None on this candle, not really much here. Here, yes. You'll see, I mean, it popped down. So even though that candle's bullish, we had bearish resistance. This candle, bearish resistance. So on most of these candles up, we've had the bearish side of the market pushed down. We've had bearish resistance. So overall, the bullish side won, obviously. But if it breaks those two levels, it could plummet down to this level. That's what I would look for if I was kind of planning if it broke short. If it broke to the long side above this level, again, I have a 4 hour level. And that's kind of where we were right before news. And this is the importance of leaving the lines on the chart. As you look, if I would have deleted that one, which we had earlier, it just kind of tapped near it. But the candle body's closed above it. And that's where we were before news. This right here, remember what I said, if it broke this high, if you took it long, you'd have to be super, super cautious because of that 4 hour level. So this 3 minute candle closed above, I would have never taken it long because I have a 4 hour level there, support resistance level. Okay. So that's the thing, is just noticing the highs and lows off the higher time frames is really key. And then when you're down on the lower time frame trading, then marking up your charts highs and lows. So to me, this looks more sloppy than anything. And I'm on a 3. Oh, I'm getting exactly what I wanted, aren't we? We could have taken that. It came back. Remember I said I would not have entered right there on the candle. I'd wait for it to pull back, support resistance, 4 hour line, pulled kind of through a little bit, red candle down. Right now it's broken that low, so it's made a lower low. So I could get in that with a little, I'd go in light with that. I'd put stop up there. Just an extra trade. Don't really need that. I don't think I got anything on yet. Oh, I still got this one. Yeah, oil popped all the way up. Back up to the 4 hour zone. All right, so let's go back to NAS. So that's where I'm at on NAS. I'm still in, and I need to mark this. Trying to see where we're at. Oh, we're back at that high. So I'd like to tag, I want to tag that as a good support and resistance level because it's off of a further pushback. So right now, let me go back to a 3 because we did get that push up. Remember I said a little bit ago that, and it had pulled back. So remember it pulled back and I said it could go deeper and mess with this level here. Because as we look at the chart and pull back, that's a good level of support resistance right here. Okay. And we had it wick here down to there. So I was looking as it pulled back, wasn't willing to move my stop, kept my stop down here below this wick. But now that it's turned here and pulled up and made a higher high, and it actually pushed through the support resistance level, and that don't matter. It may not hold up. I'm on a 3-minute time frame, so it still could pull back. But for me, I'm going to move my stop into that mix area. Still don't really like it. I still know this could be tested, but I'd rather move it there. I'm not going to move it under this low because often when you get into NASDAQ, ES, any of the indices, other instruments do it too. Often they will come back and test these previous levels. And I just don't want to be close on that if it wicks down. Okay. So I'd put my stop in here and that's it. So we're up, I don't know, 413. We're up about halfway. So it'd be a $200 runner. So that's not bad on a runner. That's extra above what we already locked in. Okay. The closing partial is to get your, what you need per day to survive. I don't have really the Canadian chart on here. I mean, I have it, but it doesn't look that pretty. But I'll go mark up my entry and put it on. I know my trade's on that chart. He's asking about that. Someone was asking about that Canadian trade that I took. Let me see here. I think, can you guys see that in the stream if I move it like that? No, you can't because I'm sharing the window. I'll have to go mark it up. I tried to see if I could drag the chart over. So oil is breaking that. So it's in a 4-hour zone. So I'd look to go long. I'm not in this anymore. I'm completely out. But there's our news wicks, and then we're basically back up there breaking those. Where was there's the news. So we still have at 11 o'clock, we still have news on oil and gas, or gasoline. Shouldn't say gas, not natural gas. So we still have news coming up. What is that? About 20 minutes? About 20 minutes. So we'll stay on and stream. So we got news coming out in oil. So just be careful I don't like where it's at right now. I mean, I love that it's at a 4-hour level, but I'm going to wait for it to set up off that. I wanted to. Was that platinum? Just bear with me. There it is. There's my platinum false start. So I had to show you guys this. So this is last night. Right there. See that? I was still up. That's 1124 candle. So I was still up. There's platinum. We talked about it yesterday, how it was below our 4-hour level. Sorry, guys. I'm all over the place with this chart. So we talked about it yesterday, how it was below, because this is Tuesday about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was below a 4-hour uptrend line. It was below our 4-hour zone. So if it would have dropped, it had quite a ways to drop. So I was thinking shorts. Every time it pulled back, short. Every time it pulled back to the zone, short. You know, you just short in here. You just shorted in here. You just shorted in here. So that's what I'm looking for. I mean, my bias is to go on the short side because we're bouncing under a 4-hour trend line and zone. Okay. And then also we had the downtrend line here that it had been following for quite some time. So it had been bearish, pushed through 4-hour trend line, 4-hour zone. My bias should be bearish. And bearish panned out till it didn't. So I need to be bearish till bearish. I should be bearish no more. How's that? They will hold up as long as they hold up. So all you got to do is short, 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 short. And then eventually you're going to be short and that one's not going to work out. I don't know which one. Don't know which one it's going to be, but you trade with that bias. Only when it came back up through all this was I bullish in my thought process on platinum. Okay. Because you see where I drew these up trend lines here. That was from this morning, but this is last night. So last night I'm on a 3 and that's what I see right there. I'm already thinking bearish. Why? Because it's under 4-hour zone and 4-hour trend line. It broke. We had a huge bearish move I just showed you. We were bearish on it the whole time. Broke through the 4-hour levels. That's where if you had runners on, they pay off. And then this is what I saw last night. So again, bearish every time it pulled off several trades. This trade, I was like, I looked at my chart and I'm like, well, that's a little head and shoulders pattern. That looks good. And I can't remember if I was on the 1. I want to say I was on the 3. I wasn't on the 1. So to me, I saw that this right here, I saw it push up, down. That's where it was right there. And then I was like, okay, it's forming a low below the 4-hour zone. This was a test of the mid zone. Am I getting an entry? I could go short. If that just happened to be the time I looked. Because if not, when it pulled down here and came back to test and gave that red candle, I probably would have shorted on there. Okay, because that's a pullback, red candle entry. So I didn't. I looked at the charting, it was here. So I was like, if it pulls back and tests the zone, and I didn't have the head and shoulders pattern on them. So what I saw was this red candle. I saw this push down. I thought, man, it's pushing back below that zone. If it pulls back to that zone and red candle, I am in. And that's what it did. It pulled back. I didn't get in on that red candle. I got in on that red candle. So that was my confirmation. It pulled back, tested the zone as resistance, red candle, I'm in. So I got in short, 1 contract. And that's it. Well, at that point, when it pulled back again on me, I was in the negative a little bit. And then pulled down, I'm like, well, wait a minute. That looks like a head and shoulders pattern. That it's actually formed. Not the best looking one, I'll admit. Not the best by any means. But to me, I saw that. Okay. And then that. And then I'm looking, okay. Well, if it breaks the next, when it breaks the neckline, which it did, that's my target. The previous low. That's what I got in on. That's what I sat through, and it did not pan out. So my stop was actually here. And then what time was it? Because I got to bed late. It was down in here. And unfortunately, with platinum, you can't close partial. I mean, you can. You could put on 2 full contracts and close 1. But you can't like put on 10, close out 8. You can't do any of that, unfortunately, with platinum. So I got in 1 going, man, this is perfect. It's bouncing off that 4-hour level again. I'm going to take it short. I want to trade it down to here. And it just didn't go. So when it went, though, down here, I did move my stop. Because my stop originally, when I got in here, my stop was back here. So when it pulled down, I went ahead and moved my stop above this high between the two. I got stopped out over there. And that's when I was asleep. That was like 2 a.m. I was fast asleep and got stopped out. So I did the best I could on that. That was a losing trade. I did the best I could on that trade. It just didn't go. It was a good setup. It did go. It just didn't go all the way where I wanted it to. Okay. So, and when you're trading something like this and you can't pull partial, so you couldn't put down here, you couldn't go in with 10 and put down here to close out 8. You can't do that. But what you can do is set an alarm line down here to alert you that platinum is down to the level where you would normally close out partial, and then you can move your stop to at least to break even. But it never got there. So for me, I did the best I could on it. To me, it looked like a good setup. To me, I call that a good, A plus setup, 100% setup, because I have these 4-hour levels above it that's holding it down. It just did not go. And the bullish side of the market came back in play and took it clear through all this. Okay. So the best thing I did was for myself on this trade was when it did pull down, because when it pulled down here, it was still 12. I mean, here where I got in the thing, it was 11:24. So I was still awake, when it was down in here. And somewhere down in this move, that's when I moved my stop down. I can't remember, but it was still before 12. So somewhere as it's pulling down here, I can't remember exactly which candle. I was like, okay, great. I'm getting my push. It's going to go. Let's move our stop. And then I pulled my stop from there to above this high and then just got stopped out there. So that was my loser, but it wasn't as bad of a loser. Okay. It wasn't as bad. So if I would have left my stop where it was, then, but that was still acceptable. When I put this trade on and put my stop here, that was an acceptable loss to me. Has to be, or don't take the trade. But if I would not have moved my stop, I would have got stopped out over here. Okay. And that was at 309. So that was the start of the London session. So the London market started pushing that through. So I would have had a bigger loss had I not moved my stop down. So I had an acceptable loss already with my stop here. Well, when I move my stop down, that's part of your trade management. Then that's an even better loss. I just limited more of my risk, my exposure. Okay. So let's say it was a $300 loss. Well, you just limited that to half. All right. So that's something that's key. And unfortunately, like I said, you cannot partial. Yeah, platinum doesn't have a micro. No. Yeah, they don't have a micro. I don't know if that'll ever happen. It's not as widely traded as like the other instruments, so that's why they don't. I don't know if, I'm sure they will at some point. Who knows? Maybe never. And then we just got that whole entire bullish push. So I wanted to show you guys that. That's why I left that Head and Shoulders thing on there, because they don't always work out. Trying to look and think of where all our trades are. Oh yeah, we were going to stay on until the news pops. Well, this is our little gold trade. So let's go into this. Because this is that gold short I just took. Yeah. So this is where it broke our upline here. This was a retracement line up because we've been in short all day so far. We've just been shorting gold because it's down below those levels. It pulled back. I just took it short. So now we're up. I don't have any to close off, guys. I only put on 2. I mean, I could close off 1, but I'm not going to. The target is the 4-hour zone down here. But I want you to look at where it's turning. So right here where it's turning, the bottom of this point, if you look to the left, it's pretty much the inside of this low. So again, swing low, down and up. The inside of that level sometimes is all they go to. So if I would have put on, I mean, I'll close out 1. That ain't nothing. But if I was to put on 10, then I would have closed out partial down here around the inside of the bottom, because sometimes they don't go past that. There, I closed that 1. I can move my stop. I can move it to break even if I want. You never know when they're going to break and run, so I like leaving mine out. So I'll leave it out. I'll pull it a little bit tighter. This is nothing exciting by any means. And again, this is a smaller account, and that's hardly anything we locked in. I went in light. I only put 2 in. You can always add to your position, but it's been bouncing off this zone. So since that's as far as it's been going, and that is one of our 4-hour zones down there, I don't expect it to break it as easily. So adding to a position would have been as it's dropping in here, not here, because it may turn and go all the way back. If it pulls back, I can always add back in. And that's something I wanted to hit on, because MC's talking about platinum biting you. Yeah. So I'm glad someone's mastered platinum or getting there or doing it. So that's what I was trying to talk about earlier, is you can get in and have multiple trades. So in this one, and this is where closing out partial helps. So I put 12 on. And then when it came down here, I closed 10, locked in 300, got 2 runners on. It pulls back to that 4-hour support resistance. And we talked about these 3 entries, either here, here, or here. There's 3 times it turned with red candle. Those are your entries. So let's say I put on another 12, so I put on another 12. Well, guess what? Here was the level. Let me draw that. So right here was the level I closed partial. Hang on. What I'm trying to do is not that. Is that. I want to make that a little thicker. All right. So here's where I closed partial on this level. Let's turn it yellow. All right. So I closed partial there. 12 on, came down, closed partial, locked in 300. Come in. Let's say you put 12 on here, 12 on here, 12 on here, any of them. It dropped down. You'll see that this wick dropped below mine. So I could have closed out. Boom, it pulled down. Anywhere in there, I could have closed partial at the same level. If I closed partial at the same level with 12 on here, it's about where I got it. Probably lock in about 270, 280. If I would have got in here or here and closed partial at the yellow line, because that's where I closed partial before, then it wouldn't have been as much if I'd have closed out 10, because I'd be getting in here versus where I got in here. So let's say we're locking in about 250 on either one of these. This entry, you're locking in about 250 on partial. This one, same. This one about 270, not quite 3. So you could have closed partial at the yellow line every time it pulls back. That's where you're closing partial. Well, you got in on one of these trades with another 12. I could have done that. And then closed partial, closed 10. Well, then it would have been another, let's say 250. Well, now you're at 550 on the whole thing. 300, 250, you're at 550. Two trades, one at 250, one at 300. And is that your daily? I don't know. Everybody's a little different as to what their daily they're trying to lock in. But you still have two more runners on. You have two runners here, and then it goes down to that main zone. And maybe you closed out just half the runners. You said, you know what? I still want to leave runners on in case it breaks through the zone. So you closed out two at more profit, and you'd have two left. Well, then it does this huge pullback, but you don't freak out. Yes, you're giving back profit as it goes. Those two runners, it actually pulls clear back here. As long as your stop was above here and above the 4-hour range, 4-hour zone, you're still in it. If your stop was just like barely above this, like around where I'm at now, if you put your stop there on these two runners, or if you pulled your stop down to say even like this high or something, or as it dropped here and here, pulled it to this high, well, then you're stopped out on your two runners. But if you had your stop here, you locked in profit on them. If you had your stop above here, you would have locked in your profit on them. Not much. When it pulled back and pulled down, you could have got back in where I just got back in. So again, it popped, it pulled back, came down, good entry. I think I got in there and sat in through the negative. So you pull partial again. Now where I'm at, that's not enough room to pull partial. So if I'd have put another 12 on there, here's what you have to look at. Let's say I would have put 12 on there instead of 2. I've already got 550 over here. You got bonus on your runner, whatever that is, guys. I don't know. Some of you would have moved your stop and got closed out here. You'd have all 4 closed out, okay, at more profit. So you locked in, I don't know, $100, $200 on that. But we know we were at 300 here and 250 here. We know that as a matter of fact. There's 550 locked in. And there's probably 100 or 200 locked in on the bonus. So we have 4 on. So there's probably about 250. So we're at about $700, $800, $750, $800 on those 2 trades, just 2 trades, $750 or $800. You took this entry, put on another 12. Your runners are out. So you put on another 12. You close partial, but you don't close it here. You close it on down because this was probably not enough room. It may have been. You still could have closed it there. So this is where you have to do a little bit of maneuvering yourself as to where you put your targets. But you could have closed out 10 more and locked in another 200, another 300, 100, whatever it may be. Because over here, you've already got about 800. Could have locked in another. It'd have been about $1,000, and you'd have 2 runners on if you would have put 12 on. And now you still got 2 runners. And where do you move your stop? Well, you move it to break even. You can move it down here above this high. Right now, since it's breaking and it's pushing back to that 4-hour zone, this low, I'd put it there. Now I'm locking in that, whatever that is. And right now for me, it's not much. It's like 73 if I close now. So that's not even 50%. So that's not really squat. As far as a horizontal line, I'd come back here. It may be as far as it's going to go. Now, it may not. It could push all the way down. I don't know. My crystal ball is broken. So it looks like it's wanting to push down to this low. I'm not going to mark this low with the line because I don't need to. I've got the zone under here. But right now, that's where my stop would be on that. But if you do this, this is how you should be thinking every day on what you trade. This is why they say to focus on one thing, one instrument. I have 4 instruments up. Don't do what I do because most people aren't ready for that, to sit there and look at 4 instruments And especially when you start drawing lines on charts, this is what I'm looking at. This is just one screen. On my other one, I'm logged in on 2 different brokers there. And even this one, this is TradingView. And I'm logged in on 2 different brokers here. This page you're looking at is Tradevate. That's who I'm logged in through here. This other page here, this other tab, I'm logged in under a different broker. TradingView is linked with all kinds of brokers. And I'm getting ready to, one of my Forex accounts through Forex.com. Forex.com is also linked to TradingView. However, my Forex.com account is a MetaTrader account, MetaTrader 4 to boot. So I can't even trade through MetaTrader 5 on that. I actually have to close that account and move the money into a TradingView account. That's just the way they got it set up. Don't ask me why. I'd rather just be able to keep that account the way it is and just throw TradingView on there. But they told me, I checked on a couple weeks ago, and they're like, nope, you got to have a TradingView account or a TradingView platform account with us in order to do that. And I just missed this NQ move as we're watching it pan out. There we are. We're at the bottom. So is this going to break and go all the way down? I wouldn't expect it to, but can it? Sure. But we've just had a nice extension. What do we expect after extension? We expect a pullback. We don't always get it. Sometimes they just break and run, but see what we had here. Nice extension down, pullback. Nice extension down. It may just pull back and then keep going through the zone. It could come all the way back up to test this 4-hour level. We are between 2 key price points. We're between this level right here, which is off a 4-hour high and low, and then we're above this red level here. So 2 key price levels that it just might keep banging against. My bias is short because it's been short. So I should have the most success trading it short today. Every time it goes back up to that 4-hour level, let's trade it short. That should have been the plan because that's our bias. And it's not just we come to the market and say, well, I'm trading short and gold. We look at the charts. But again, you should focus on one thing. See, I'm not in NASDAQ. I'm not focused on it. And I missed the entry. But there's where it pulled back on us. Oh, that's the one I was taken out of. Yeah, remember I moved the stop. So that's the one we were just taken out of, actually. So it pulled down, and that's an old trend line, guys, that I just drew from here to here. So this is where this one's a little more sloppy, and trend lines don't hold up at all very well. I wouldn't, I don't recommend NASDAQ for anybody new, and it is not very trend line worthy. It just doesn't follow trend lines. It is more price action, price based. So that's where you're going out on the 4-hour and 1 hour and 15-minute and looking at price levels. That's solely how you should trade NASDAQ. Trend lines are there. Sometimes you can draw them. Sometimes they hold up. But if you look at the moves overall, I mean, look at this. It's just so, that's why I call it the Widowmaker. That's why I don't think anybody new should trade it. I've seen people say, you know, oh, I know how to trade NASDAQ. I know a guy that says, I know how to trade NASDAQ. And then it could be pulling down the whole entire time. I'll tell you what he did if he was watching. I'm hoping, and I'm not going to mention his name. Hopefully he's not in here. But anyways, I'm not going to ever mention your name. But as it pulled down, a nice bullish or bearish push down, he would have traded that right in there to go long. Retracement trader, pullback trader, contrarian trader. Those are the terms. So when you get a nice push, he's trying to trade the retracement, hoping it's a reversal. Well, there's a lot of hope and prayers in there, and I just don't do that. it's bearish, I should be bearish. I should be if you see a pull like this, I should be looking for reasons to get in short, not long. If I get in long there, I'm trying to say that's the bottom of the move. I want to get in on this retracement and hope it's reversing. I'm hoping I'm in the bottom. And that's what I hear from all the time. I can pick the tops. I can pick the bottoms. He'd pick that and go long. It pulls up. A couple ticks, he's closing. Okay. Close down. The whole thing. And then it pulls down like this. You start getting a green move. Back in long. Well, for me, it's pulled short. I want to trade short. My buy should be short. When it pulled back, I'm looking to get in short. It pulls down, pulls back. I'm looking to get in short. I have to see lows and highs built. And that's what we saw here. We see higher highs, higher lows built. We should be looking for longs. This was a perfect entry here. So when this pulled and it's pushed up past this is where I move my stop here. So I just got stopped out right there on that pull down. But on that pull down also where it stopped me out, guess what it was doing? It broke the low. So making a lower low. On this candle, this red candle, basically, since it's past that point, is making a lower low. So at that point, you have to say, I might need to switch my thinking to bearish, and it pulled back to test that previous level and then red candle entry. I'm not in, but that would have been a good entry. And we're not in, unfortunately. So it's pulled back right now. If I see another red candle, we can actually take it. Short. Is it news yet? Yeah, we've had stuff happen. I don't know if we're going to get much from that. I'm looking here. Wow, the number's way off. Yeah, the numbers on the news are off, which they often are. I'm looking at the oil. Yeah, there's our 11 o'clock, for what it's worth, or 11 o'clock news. And this trend line should have been removed because we broke it. That's what happens when you're looking at multiple things. So I had that trend line drawn here, and it went up through here. Well, then when it pulled back here, I should have removed that one. Should not have had that one on. So I missed the entry on this, but that's the news candle. So you see how, though, during the news release, it basically swept up through the high side. You'll hear the term liquidity sweeps. The market makers have to actually build into a position. There's no broker on earth that can take a market maker's trade, a full trade. So they don't put on that full trade. They have to build into a position. So they have to make a move first. They have to sweep what's called a liquidity sweep. Basically, they're sweeping to pull out people's trades is what they're doing. So people had traded short in here at the high here, and then basically, bam, that's what you see. It pulled up and then pulled down. So everybody that was short here or here, they're on the right side of the market. I mean, they're trading short, and that's what's moving. However, they got stopped out first. It was a big thing in the past. We don't really see it anymore. But there was a lot of brokers that actually, I hate even saying this, guys, but something to be careful about, especially trading news and stuff. They would actually kind of fudge the data that comes across so that people are taken out on purpose. We don't see that much anymore, but there was a big stink about it in the past. You'll still hear that where brokers are Sweeping stops, it's a stop hunt. Those are terms that are often used. There were brokers doing that. I haven't heard of any doing it in a while, but that's why it's important to not just go throwing money with any broker. Yeah, we talked about dart trading. Did you miss that picture? Someone mentioned dart trading. Might as well take a dart and throw it. I had a dart and I had a dart stuck to my monitor. I don't know if I'll get in this. I draw a trend line from here to here, or trade line. That would be my down line right there. If it pulls back to that, I would short it. But I kind of already missed this entry here. This would have been a good one. I don't know. I wouldn't have taken this because this was pre-news. And we're down on a 1 minute. And this is something, as you guys look to trade, you have to decide on what time frames you want to trade on. I would not be afraid, if I was you, to look at different time frames and to see what looks nicer, more pleasing to your eyes. If I go to a 3 minute, ugh. I mean, really? That's the news. That's the news candle. That's a 3 minute candle. Okay. Here's a pullback. That green candle right there is just a pushback, pullback. Well, I don't enter on that price move like that. I don't short just because it hit back near that zone. So if that's not the way I trade, then I would not take that trade. Now, we had a red candle. That would be my entry on a 3. But to me, this doesn't look as great. If I drop, and again, we're in the middle of news. News came out at 11. So that's why I said I will always drop to a 1 minute on a news release. Now you look at that. These are 1 minute. I know they're 1 minute candles. They print faster. But you look at that and go, okay, news, red candle, below a 4 hour zone. This candle broke this candle. This is a lower high than this one, or lower low. So all it's done is over here, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, turn, lower low, caution, might be setting up for bearish, lower high, okay, bearish, red candle in. Oh, wait, there's news in 2 minutes. Better not. Just better wait. So if it wasn't news, that would have been an entry. But if it wasn't news, I wouldn't be on the 1 minute either. So it looks completely different. So again, on before news, I normally drop down to a 1. News happens, wicks up and down, no big deal because we're not in. Red candle entry. If you're not in there, you wait for a pullback in a red candle. Pullback, red candle, get in. Right now, it's pulling back to that line. And I'm not including this wick. I don't include wicks like this on a 1 minute. The news will mess up your trend lines. So if you're a trend line trader, the news will completely mess up your trend lines. So sometimes you got to ignore the news. We ignored non-farm. What was that, about a month ago? I don't know if it was last month's non-farm or I think it was 2 months ago. It was huge. And it blew through a uptrend line. We had an uptrend line. Non-farm blew through it, blew back. And I just had to ignore that. So because what happened was it started tracking on the back of non-farm, started tracking back on that trend line. So sometimes you got to ignore the news. There's a red candle. So yeah, I'd go in on that. We'll put 10 on. And I am putting my stop tight. That's where my stop would be on this one. And guys, I don't know if it's going to push off this or not. We will see. So obviously it has to break this before it goes anywhere. has to. But that's where it turned. It turned right here. So it has to break that. Again, you can come in and put a pending order in. I'm trying to show you examples. I don't know if it's going to pan out or not. We'll see. So I've got 10 on, and I could come in here with a buy stop. That ain't going to work. I'm sorry. Trying to pick a good level. There, we're going to, do I have 10? I do have 10 on. Yeah. Okay. So there's my limit order. So what that's going to do is if it pops down and hits that, it's going to close 8. So right now I've done my job. I've done good trade management. Did I pick a good entry? I feel I did. I mean, it meets my criteria. It's already bearish. I have a retracement back to my trade line or trend line that's down. Retraced back. I could draw a line there. I mean, I don't always need to because I can see it with my naked eye. But that would have been my retracement line. I don't extend those. I like to leave those short. So that was a retracement back, red candle close, boom, I'm in. Okay, to me, that was a good trade entry. It met several of my criteria. I get 50% just because it's already going short, just because I'm trading in that directional bias short. There's 50% reason to take it, 10% because it pulled back. Okay, so it's pulling back to the trend line, 10%. Now we're at 60, breaks the retracement line, 70, red candle close, 80. Never really pulled back in here to test that. But again, I'm on the 1 minute. It could still pull back there. So to me, that's an 80% entry. I'll take it. My stop's a little tighter because I'm on a 1 minute. We didn't have the greatest news catalyst here. But to me, that was a fair entry. Right now, it's kind of testing this low. So it broke through the inside because that was a level I wasn't sure if it was going to break around the inside of this swing because of these right here. You will always find reasons not to take a trade. Sometimes you just got to take them. And if you have reasons not to take it, which weighs out more? Are your reasons to take the trade higher, more reasons to take it than the reasons not to? But if you have several reasons not to take it, but your reasons to take it outweigh it, just go in lighter. I think I'm losing my voice. So right now it's not hit the target. Now, yeah. So if you're a $100 trader, you would have already closed out 8. I just want to point that out. Mine's a little bit further, and that may be all it goes, guys. It may go here. But I need to point that out because for those only looking for 100 per trade, 100 per trade, every trade, 100 per trade, this was a trade where it's at 160. So you could close out your 8, and there's your 1 locked in. And you could leave your stop where it is or put a little lighter, like above this high. Give it that room in case it pulls back. I wouldn't pull it to break even. I see it's stalling out here. So it's kind of stalled out. It might be rounding over. We might see bullish push on these few candles. So it may pull back to where we're at. So let's say I should have just said we're a $100 trader. Let's just close out 6 on this. I try and do a good example for you guys on these, and I should have done it. I'm trying to do the example of just locking in that 100 a day or 200 a day. So it was about 140. So we locked in about 80, and then we're willing to take this loss here if it pulls back. But we're going to watch and monitor our trend line. Now this line down, I would actually move it out here now. Right to there. So again, the $100 trader, that's all you need, $100 a day. Because guys, that's $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. That's all it is. If you're a $100 trader, you take one trade a day. Well, most people are looking to take 1, 2, 3 trades a day. So if you take 2 a day, well, that's $4,000 a month. All right. So we're getting a pullback. We'll peek out at the others. I'm not doing myself any favors by not peeking out. So don't let me forget, guys. We have oil on, and then here's the other. Ooh, why did we leave a runner on? Remind me again. Anyone remind me why we left a runner on? That's why you can't close them. I mean, it pushed down into the zones. Okay, so one runner's at 100. That runner, if I were to close it out right now, if I was a $100 trader per trade, we already had like, what, 2 trades? 2 trades over here that if you were a $100 trader, you'd locked in on each. You'd have moved your stop down. You'd locked in a bonus. So again, if you're a $100 trader, this is the bonus. I like to let mine run. Now, I'm looking for stop management now. Okay. So at this point, I can't close anything. I've got one. I could close it all. I could close it all and say, okay, I'm going to close this 100. That's a $100 bonus for the week on Wednesday. Let's say you didn't get a bonus yesterday or Monday, $100 bonus. Well, let's say you do this Friday. You do one more $100. Well, that's $200 bonus for the week. Let's say you do that 4 weeks. Well, 4 weeks, that's an $800 bonus at the end of the month. That's how I look at the runners. The runners are bonuses. Now, the runners, a lot of times, will overshadow any losses. Because I took a loss on the one earlier on my runners. So the runners that you let that capture a lot, they will overshadow your losses. So at this point, though, about the best thing I could do is manage my stop. I will bring it down. I'm going to pull it here for right now. Let's look at this level. So bounced in here, low, high, pushed through, bounced here where it was, low, high, pushed through. Pushed through. So this is a good area in here to look at. And then we had a pullback back to that area, back to that previous high, and then it's pushed down. I don't know if this is going to stall here and make a higher low, which then we have to say to ourselves, if that is making a higher low, then we could see it pull all the way back up to the 4-hour zone. So higher highs, higher lows, which we haven't had a higher high yet. This is still a lower high. So we have to see what happens here. We could have a higher low, but then it can just go up here and turn again here and then go down. It may still not make a higher high. So that's where I'm going to put my stop. I'll just leave it right there. So whatever this is, I know we're up 100 on the runner. It looks like a little better than 50%. So we're locking in maybe 60 on the runner. Not much, but we've already locked in on primary trades. So you just leave that on. Leave it on. Oh, we hit our target. I wonder what that noise was. I'm like, I only have 2 trades on. So there is what's left of oil. I had a 6 to close. So 6 close. And unfortunately, on this platform, you see the order move. That is not where I got in. Anybody remember where I got in? I do. So we got in over here. And we did Did we do 10? Yeah, we did 10 contracts there. And we shorted it. So let's color that beauty red. So we put in 10 there. And then as I mark up the charts, and you guys should be doing this too. Because you should be at the end of the day marking up your charts and taking pictures of them so you can go back over them later in the week, later in the month, whatever, later in the day. I like marking my charts up. So if you mark your charts up like this, entered short 10 contracts. Okay. Now I'm also going to come in and put one here that we closed 6 off. So that was our closed partial. We closed 6. Okay, so I did my job. That's my job every day, is to, oh, thanks. I'm trying to read the comments, and you just mentioned to update my oil stop. So right now, I've done my job for the day. I got in here, and this is why you have to mark this. I didn't mark it when I got in, but I like to mark it. So when you take the trade, put one of these, what's that called? It's called a call out. Put a call out there, or a price marker. What I like to call outs, because if you do a call out, you can label it. I entered short there 10 contracts. Okay. The reason why, when you put the trade on, put the call out on, put a call out on that's at your stop, and you could label it original stop. If it's your original stop area, put original stop. Okay. And then when it came down and closed partial. So why I'm putting a call out here at your original order and putting that you entered short there with 10 contracts is because when it comes down and hits your take profit and it closes out 6, my order moved. So now my order's down here. You don't want to look at that later. If you don't mark these with call outs, what happens is at the end of the week, if I took a picture now without these call outs, at the end of the week, if I took a picture right now, at the end of the week, I would see this order here and go, why in the world did I take that there? And why did I put on 4 contracts? See, it doesn't make sense. So by putting that I entered short here with 10 contracts, and by putting I closed 6 here, then once this trade's gone, because when this trade closes out, I would take a picture for the end of the week. I should have took a picture when it was here. That was my entry. I didn't. But that's what you should do if you're journaling your trades. Okay. I'm going to move my stop. I'm going to keep this one past a recent high. Here's what I'm using. So we got in short here. The stop was tight. It was up in here, I think. Okay. It was past the recent high. Use the reset, not the previous one past that. So we've had that pullback. We had that bounce, hit our profit, closed out 6 for us automatically. Why did oh, dude, that should not be a buy. I'm sorry. I put the wrong order in. I had to change that to a close, guys. I'm sorry. I put a buy limit. I accidentally put a buy limit in there. So I'm glad I noticed that. That should not have been a buy limit. So it should have been a sell stop or a buy stop. Sorry, that should have been a buy stop to close out 6. I put the wrong order on. So I just reversed that real quick. Glad I noticed. But that should have been a buy stop for 6. It would have closed out 6. And then we'd still had 4 on short. So I lost some right there just now by doing that. That's all right. It's a mistake. I'm going to move my stop past this high, not this current one we're making, till it makes a new low. So if it pushes down, which it is, so right now I say to myself, it is making a new low. It has to, because it's already pulled past this. So I was going to pull my stop here, right above here. Okay, but now that it's pushing, I can move my stop here. And I need to update this to 4. because I only have 4 contracts on. Sorry, guys, kind of sloppy in here today. That's me being sloppy. So we modified it. So now I have 4 stops. So now they're matching. So this is where I just moved my stop. So I moved it briefly here. So I'm not going to mark it. But while it was pulling here, before I noticed the order and had to change it, I was going to move my stop above here. And I would have not moved this down like this. I would leave that marker there and come in with another call out marker. And I would have put, that I moved my stop there. But since we waited, I've got to do this one because this is where I move my stop. So I move my stop here. And then we'll just put that we move stop here. I can't believe I put that opposite order on. That's all right. So that's where we moved our stop. So the reason, again, why we do that is because our order keeps moving down, is where it keeps moving. And if I would have put the correct order on, these 4 would have been short there. So we'll lose back a little, but overall the trade will still be positive. And that's because the orders move. It's just the way they do. And there's nothing we could do about it. Let's look back at gold. Let's do this for a second. I'm probably, and we're not even in NASDAQ anymore. It's pulled completely back. If you notice where NASDAQ is, it's this little corner left chart. Oh, wrong one. Thought I clicked on it. It's pulled completely back. Again, this was the news release all the way up, 4-hour level, all the way back. I'm out of it, and I'm probably done for the day. I might trade power hour. It's 11:30 on it. So we've went from 9:30 to 11:30 trading it. And I'm completely out. No runners, nothing. Not in platinum. MC, are you in platinum? It seems like he's always in platinum. It's like a reverse flag. You'll start to notice stuff like that right there. It's kind of a reverse flag. I just want to pull that out. I got to extend that way back. But it is actually making higher highs, but the lows are at the same price point. So the bullish side of the market, trying to push it off. It's trying to jump. It's trying to pop, trying to launch. Every time it pulls back to this 4-hour zone, imagine that. Every time it pulls out to these nice pushes up. Are you long in this? I'd love to see, or have you been getting in long every time? That's actually pretty nice right there. If I got a good green candle, I'd get in long. I'd have to see a bullish candle to get in long on this. So you see it pushed up through, pull back, hit it. That little green move there is not enough for me. And if I wouldn't have taken that green candle, I'd have been like out in pullback, tapped it. I don't know that I got in here. Here's a little nicer entry because it's already tapping that as support. So you'd look at this one and go, well, look, it tested it once here, tested it here, and it's held up as support. And then that's a bullish engulfing candle. That bullish green candle is bigger than the red. It's called a bullish engulfing candle. That's an entry. Where should your closed partial be? Previous high, closed partial. You can't really on platinum. So you got to put on 1. If you move your stop because your stop should be about midline. If you move your stop to break even, you'd be stopped out here. So that's the only thing with moving your stops, and not being able to close out partial. And then, okay. Yeah, I forget. You're right. He's on the 1 hour. And then here, same thing, pullback. That's not really a bullish engulfing candle. because they're both the same length. Okay, but that is a good size green candle. That was another entry to get in. Again, if you pulled your stop to break even, you got stopped out here. So you can get it because there's no partials. The only way you can partial platinum is to put two on. You put two contracts on. It goes up here, you close out one. Pull your stop to break even. Pulls back. You're stopped out. Gives you this green candle. You get back in. Two contracts. Pulls up. You close out one when it gets near this. You close out one about there. Boom. You close out one. Pull your stop to break even. Yeah, you got stopped out. It's not running. It's not breaking and running. It's not done testing this support level. Is that candle done? How much time do we got? We got about 2 seconds. Who wants me to put two on there? I don't know. Someone said they wanted it. My stop's going to be below the midline or about midline. I might be in the last. We might have missed it. So it had some good pushes here. It had one push up, another push up. Well, really here, another second, third, fourth. It's had 4 times it's tried to launch off this support and resistance level. It may be done. I may be getting it. I may have got in too late. The last move, the one it turns on. How many times does that happen? Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. Every time the bullish side of the market is pushing it up. All right. So who's the $100 trader? I'm gonna get over here ready to close one. If that gets to 200, I'm gonna hit sell. I don't want to hit buy. It's not much. We're that $100 trader. I need $100 per trade locked in, and I'm happy. $100 locked in, I'm happy. But we need it to move. I mean, it has to move past these highs. So we're at 100 right now. It needs to move up in about here. So we could come in. We can either wait with one order hanging in the order, ready to go, and then we could just hit sell, and that will close off one. Or we can come in and put a pending order in. So either way, if we're going to look at other things, I probably ought to put a pending order in. And that would be a... Why is it not letting me do that? Be a sell limit. I don't always put pending orders on, guys. So it would be a sell limit for one. And what that's going to do is when the price moves up, it will close one off. So we do a sell order for one. And then it's going to... We just got taken out of something. Oh, we got this pulled back on us. So we're still in oil. We're only up 108 on the runner. I'm not moving my stop yet. It is, however, moving down. And notice how aggressive it's gotten. So in here, before news, nice gentle move, tracking at about a 45-degree angle, little less than that. So it's tracking almost, if I do this is what you got to watch for on charts. If you do that, there you go, 45-degree angle. If you do that, I hear people all the time, well, that's not a steep angle. Well, it depends on how far you drag your chart back. Nice move down, though. We got in here. It's getting a little more aggressive on its pushes down. That's great for us. We're in short. It's hit a 4-hour zone. So my options at this point, I have 4 on. So let's say we're still looking to lock in some. Let's lock in half. Let's close 2. We're lock in about $60, something like that. So we're going to buy 2. That's going to close. Watch the order. So the order stayed that time, didn't move. We just closed out 2. So what I would do is with the call out, I'd come in and the price is here. We just closed out 2. Let me know if you guys like this better than just the daily analysis, because I do like popping in while we're trading here and there. And we're going to do that some nights too, because I know everybody's not in the same time zone. So, and we've got a vacation plan for a few weeks. So I don't know if I'm going to do so much as the morning US. May take a break on that. But if I do, then we'll do some nights where we're trading gold from like 8 to 9, I think, or 8 to 10. And that'll be Eastern Standard. So let me know if you guys, can make it. Let me know in the Discord if you guys can make it. I can put a poll in there, because I'd like to do stuff on other time zones as well to keep it where other people can do it. And then we'll do some London stuff for the guys over in that time zone. So we're getting a nice push down. Just closed out 2. I'm going to move my stop. Where do I move stop? All right, let's look. So we have a 4-hour zone that's breaking, and there is that 4-hour trend line again. So my target, it's cruised through this one. That's my target where it may turn. Okay. Ugh. All right. I can't take that right now. All right. So it's pulled down. There's a 4-hour trend line because it's thicker. Since it's thicker, I know it's an uptrend line on the 4-hour. It's pulled down. I will pull my stop to a break even. Basically, I'm pulling it above this high right here, this wick high. Because if you look, we had a low, pulled back on that candle, pushed down barely below it. So it had problem breaking this level, but now it's pulled back or pulled through. I could see it not only coming to test the top of the zone, I could see it pulling to test this level again or to test that high. I need to stay out of the way in case it keeps going. I just need to stay out of the way. So a break even's where I'll put it. I have 2 contracts on, and my stop doesn't match. So we make it match. And we're only up, we closed out 2 at about 60. And that's where we're at right now, about 60, 70. So I'm out of the way. So we'll leave this on. We're in a no risk trade. We're not even going to lose anything against what we've locked in on this. Again, originally the stop was here. We got in here. We had a order to close out 6 here. When it got down, it closed out 6. We moved our stop to here when we closed out 6. And you could do color matching. That's a great idea, actually. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Who wants to know what in the world is he talking about color matching? I'm talking about this right here. In fact, I would rather see you do color matching, because if I look at one of your charts and you show me, I would like to know how you managed your trade. And again, this helps you at the end. And we have a trade sheet. You know, my trade sheet has not only the checklist criteria to get in, but it has stop management on the bottom, trade management. So let's start matching our orders. I could see the red. Let's look at the red. Well, my stop was here, entry here. Okay, orange. I closed out 6 here, moved my stop here. Okay. I closed out 2 here. Ooh, I love this idea. Let's make it, my wife love the purple, so let's do that. Purple. And then we just moved our stop here. I love this idea, guys. I really do. So I should be able to hand somebody the sheet. And back when I used to teach back in the day, that's what they did. They 3-ring binder. I know I'm old school, and this was back a ways. And everybody had to get a 3. When we met and traded locally, they had to bring their 3-ring binder with them, or they were not sitting. I was very strict because I didn't want people to fail. So unfortunately, you guys we're not getting together local. or I'd make you do the same thing. But they had to bring their 3-ring binder with them. How'd your trading go the last 2 days? A couple times a week we get together. They'd bring it in. They better have their sheets. If they took trades, if we were meeting today and they traded Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they better have their trades in there, or I was not happy. I wanted to keep them accountable, help them succeed, help them the best way I could by implementing stuff like this. Well, they would hand me their 3-ring binder. I could thumb back through a couple pages and they would have the trade sheet. I would see the check. Oh, this is awesome. So this trade, you had 100 or 90% reason to take the trade. I see that you wrote bullish engulfing candle in there. That was extra 10% confirmation. I see where they put the order on. They put the order on here. They had the price marked where they took the original trade. They had their stop order. That price was labeled in there. Entry. It's in the entry section. They entered at this price. Short. They put their stop loss here. Whatever price point that is would be on there. Then on the bottom, it goes to trade management. Okay. Pulled partial at what price? Pulled partial at 69.97. How many contracts were closed? 6. That's what it says on there. Closed 6 at, it doesn't say closed 6 at, it's little boxes. Stop loss or closed partial, it's a checkbox. You closed partial at 69.98. And then next to it, did you move your stop? If you moved your stop, it doesn't say, did you move your stop? It just says move stop. So if you didn't move your stop, you leave it blank. If you did move your stop, you'd put that price, 70.11. So I could look at the sheet and go, okay, you entered at this price with your stop loss here. You closed out 6 at 69.98. And when you did, you moved your stop also to 70.10, limiting risk. And then you closed out 2 at 69.64. And when you did, you moved your stop to 69.89. But here's the thing. This could be a week later. A week from now, I won't remember this trade. But if I have my journal, my 3-ring binder with this sheet, the trade sheet, or at least this marked up. I love this because this to me still paints a picture. I can still read this, especially since we colored the orders different. I love it because you could send me a chart like this. I'm just going to use MC. I like to pick on MC. So I'm just going to use his name. So if he sends me a chart next week on platinum, and this is platinum, and I could see that, oh, okay, he entered here with the stop there. And then when it got to this price, when it pulled down here, got to this price, he closed out 6 and he moved to stop here, limiting risk. Okay. Then when it moved down here, he closed out 2 more of the 4 and moved to stop here, protecting his position. I can see all that just from the chart. That is a ton of information. So you can send it to me, post it in Discord, send it to a trading buddy if you got someone that you're trading with. Yeah, I love the call outs on this. This is the only way to track it too, because the orders move. So you have to know, and you can mark where your order is. So the way I would do that is color it the same. We got in here with our stop here. When we closed out 6 here and put our stop here, the order moved. So wherever that order moved to, I would color it. I would just say order moved, run it off where the order was, and color it orange. And then here we're purple. So purple, I would do the same thing. I would come in and we can mark our order and just put it under that. And just label it that the order moved. So we should have 3. You should have 3 things for each color because the order moves when you close out. Doesn't always move as much. It depends on how much you're closing out. So you should have 3 per color. So it moved down here. We closed out 2 of the runners. We also moved our stop here, and the order moved to this price. That's where it currently is, because now I have 2 on. If we get another push, if it turns here and pushes back to this 4-hour trend line, well, then I still have 2 on. I could close 1 because that's a 4-hour trend line. So I suspect if it gets there, I'll be lucky. I can close out 1 more. Get a little more profit. Squeeze everything I can out of the lemon, whatever. We're going to squeeze everything we can out of this. So I want to squeeze all the profit I can. I don't want to miss out on anything extra. Now, you could sit there and say, well, why didn't you leave it all on? You know, you got in with 10 here. Why didn't you just leave it all on? Because a lot of times they turn. And I don't want to hold and turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Because again, my goal is to make money for the day. I have to, or I'm not doing my job. Stop, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not moving it. It's pulled back. If we get a push past this low right here, then I would look to close out. If we get pushed past this low and it pushes past that, well, then I'd say, okay, it's making a lower low. Let's move our stop. And I can pull it above this high. But right now I have to give it room. The other thing I would do is come in with a retracement line. That's it right there. That's right now, that is my retracement line. And right now it's tapping this low right here. So can you see that getting pinched out? Yeah, it could be a time pinch, meaning it might not be volatility. There might not be momentum in this when it gets pinched out. It could just be because of time, because we're moving sideways. Every 1 minute, we're on a 1 minute still. Every 1 minute it prints a candle. It has to. That's our time pushing us over. Somebody pick a color for the next one as we mark it. So right now we're seeing a push. Am I getting into this? No, I'm not looking to. If I was adding on the way down, every time it pushed down, if I would have got in 2 here, let's say you got in with 2. It pushes down, pulls back, you're adding 2 every time. Well, this, I don't think I would have added here. It didn't pull back really to that trend line. That's what I look for. This one pulled back more to the trend line. It's pulled back. It still could go up and test this area. But we're already in, so we're not actually looking to add to a position. If I was going to do that, I would just kept some more on. I wish by default when you do these boxes, they go to the back. So we're sitting good and don't really care. We're not going to lose anything on this against what we locked in. So this has been a good trade. Small, but good. Platinum did a pullback. Oh, here, I'm going to say it. How many times have you guys said this to yourself? And I didn't watch the price. We were probably already up 100 on this. Does anyone know what I'm about ready to say? I hear it all the time. Did that not go to the bank? Try sending that. It is to the back. It almost took me out. Almost hit my take profit. How many times have you said that to yourself or heard somebody? So I didn't. That was probably over 100. I mean, we probably hit 200. Let's see. So right now we're down. No. It was about 150 on there. So it did not pull up quite to where it just didn't. It knew I had that. MC, did you do that? See, he probably did that. He's probably messing with me. That's what it is. I love picking on MC. He saw me place that order. He saw me put that limit in for profit, and he's the one that pushed it right up there to just a tick under my order. Man. But see, I'm okay with the loss on that. We put in 2, good bounce. And again, I mentioned that it could be the last time that it pulls off that. It may not make it. This may be a losing trade. And you have to be okay with that. You have to look and go, okay, it pushed off 4 hours out, came back to test it, pushed again, didn't take the entry, came back to test it. Nice bullish engulfing. You took the entry, went up, and you put 2 on like we did. You closed 1 out. And if you pulled to break even, well, then you're stopped out. If you didn't pull to break even, here's the thing. If you didn't pull to break even and you kept your stop down here, you'd have 1 whole contract on this. When it pulls back and back in here, do you add 2 back on or do you add 1? Because you locked in profit on 1. So you could add another and just have 2 on. When it goes up, close the 1, leave your other as a runner, leave your stop where it is. So you would keep 1 on in case it just breaks and runs, because we never know when that's going to happen. That's why we want the runners on. You keep the 1 on, and then when it comes back here, you could have put on 1 more. So if I would have a runner on back here, if I would have entered that with 2, stop back here at under the mid-level, entered with 2, closed 1, partial, closing your partial best you can, and don't move your stop. It pulls back, nice green candle, 1 more on, goes up, close partial. You still just have 1 runner on, or you could put 2 on there and had 2. But let's say you only put 1 more. Boom, it goes up. There's another $100, $150 trade. So if you're locking in 100, well, you put on 2, goes up, close partial, $100, stops down here, pulls back, put 1 more on, goes up, close 1, $100, stops, remains, pulls back, comes down here, put 1 more on. We don't know yet. It never made it past that mark. That's about where we're at right there. So we needed it to go up a little bit further. Unfortunately, we don't. So that may be an extra loss. If you tacked on 1 more there, well, now you have 2 on again, like you started here, and you had here when you added 1, but you locked in 100 on 1. You locked in 100 on the other. So you have 200 locked in. Right now, we're down about 80. And I'll move my stop there. I'm going to move it right under these wicks. Again, I might have got in the one that doesn't go. I need to check back on this. We're getting a nice push down. So there, it looked like it was breaking through. It pulled back. Nice push off that. So we did pull back up to even test that level again. Again, this yellow dotted line is off of this turn. And again, if you look at my chart, this is total messy. Messy, messy, messy. So if I don't clean these off at the end of the day and I come in tomorrow morning, and sometimes that happens, it looks a mess. Right now it's popped down to this low. I already have a line there. I'll move it up. Or actually, let's take it off. We'll take it off and put one of these. I like these raid lines. I like these because I know, and I don't like them yellow. So right now it's hitting and testing that low. We'll see what happens here. If it pushes past, it's pushed past so slightly. So right now, I could say it is forming a lower low. Has to. It's already broke the previous one. The fact that right now price is below this low means it's forming a lower low. So now I can look, can I move my stop? Can I don't have to limit my risk. I don't have risk on this. But can I close out one, or should I? I'm going to move my stop there. I could close out one, capture another little 50. I don't even remember what we profited on this so far. Because I know we closed, what did we close? 2 runners out? Well, let me look. I don't know why I'm asking you guys. Nobody's telling me. But we closed 6 here. That was what we needed to say that this was a good trade. We locked in trade for the day. And then we closed 2 more here. And I think that's where we only captured like 62 on that little bit. Yeah, I love trading gold and oil. Gold and oil, I love them. I'd rather be in these two than, NASDAQ any day. And that's why I look to get in them first. And then if we can just manage trades like this. So right now it pulled, it's making a lower low. I already moved my stop. I didn't pull profit yet. Let's close out one. I guess I should have closed out one. We're going to close out one. Oh, I added a sell. I did not want to do that. I have to close out 2 now. That is not what I wanted to do. I needed to hit the buy. So it's going to move, unfortunately. So I need to put this here. Sorry I messed that up for you guys. That's too close to red. So we actually, I'm going to put closed 1 here because I only had 2 on. If not, that's going to mess up my tracking. I actually just closed out 2. That's because I accidentally hit the sell button up here and added 1 to my position. So I hope, sorry guys. This is why you have to mark up the chart too, because since I made that little mishap, added 1, I had 3 on and I didn't want 3 on. I could have left it that way, I guess. I really wanted to close out. So what that did was it dropped my order all the way here. So right now, if I don't move my stop, if I leave where it is, this will show as a loss. But to me, I know it's not a loss. It's because I made that accident. So it's going to be a loss against the gains, but I just closed out 2 and made the profit. So where we were here with the extra one and the one I wanted to close, it actually dropped my order down. So it capitalized on that profit the whole distance down. So that, I hate the way this does this, but unfortunately that's the way orders move on this. So since it dropped again, this will look like a negative if it pulls back and hits here, because it is, but we locked in the positive since I just closed those out. So that's why you got to be careful when you print your trade reports. If you don't remember your trades overall and how things go, if you print your trade report, you will see negative. You're going to see negative on your runners. Eventually, you'll see they show as negative trades. I'm not trying to do that again. I did it again. I want to modify this. I should probably stop while I'm ahead. Just messing up the charts. Told you guys I did not sleep good. All right. So the stop we're going to leave. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, you're locking in partial. It's a winning trade. Well, and I'm talking about if you do what I just did, if you keep moving down. So eventually you'll have that marks as a loser. And if you look at your trade, and I know Top Step does the same thing. So guys, I hate the way they do them like this. They separate the orders. To me, when I placed this trade, it was 10 lots on. We closed out 6 here. We closed out 2 here. We just closed out again. So here's the problem. In the trade report, that 6 closeout, this 6 lot trade looked like one trade in a trade report. This 2 we closed out here in profit, that's a 2 lot trade, 2 contract trade. Those are 2 different trades. I put on one trade with 10 contracts. But if I pull the trade report, I have a 6 contract trade positive, 2 contract trade positive. This might be a 2 contract trade negative. So when you pull your trade report, that's something to keep in mind. You guys have to know how you trade. I know that overall, I put on 10 lots. I closed out 6 in profit, moved my stop. Closed out 2 in profit, moved my stop. Okay. So as it moves down, we're closing out partial, we're moving our stop. And as your stop gets pulled to better and break even, right now, if this pulls back and hits my stop, it will show as a negative trade, but it's not really a negative trade. I need to look at this whole picture. It was one trade. I didn't place a 6 contract trade, then place a 2 contract trade, and then place another 2 contract trade. I placed a 10 contract trade. And I closed out 6. So I locked in profit on that 10 contract trade. Closed out 2. Locked in more profit on the 10 contract trade. And then you lock in a loss, let's say, against the gains you already locked in on the 10 contract trade. But unfortunately, in the trade reports, it's going to show 3 different trades, 2 winners, 1 loser. And it does it pretty much on every broker. Yeah. So, and that's what I hate. But I know if you guys use Top Step, because I've got an account through them as well, they actually were talking about, and I don't know if that's going to come into play, but theirs show the same way. But they were talking about making them look like one whole trade because they know how people trade. They know people do this. They know that people would get in with, say, 10 contracts, and then when it moves in their direction, they will close out partial. That's what you're supposed to do. If it's going to give you profit, lock in profit. Just modify that stop, and then I'm going to move it down here. We'll put it about mid-zone, just above this swing. So right now, it's pushed off the bottom of the zone. So you see how it printed a lower low than this, pulled back, testing that zone, push back. Now we're under the 4-hour line. Now, I would love to see this just plummet from here. Don't have high hopes, and it is noon. And I need to look out because I just had something else close or hit profit. So again, we're up 52. I'd say once this one goes up 100, lock in 1, close 1 out. You can do that, of course, by putting in. You can have pending orders all the way down this. You can do it all automatically. And how you do that is just like we're manually doing it. But you could easily put on 10 here. If you want to place a trade and walk away, you could put on 10 here, put an order here to close out 6, put an order to close out 2, put an order to close out 1. And then you just have to manage your stop. That is less stressful. You let the market take you out. You don't have to make that decision. I'm sitting here making that decision, but I'm looking off the dollar amount is what I'm doing. So I'm okay with that. But you can actually, once you get to know your instrument and your numbers, you could easily put on a trade with 10 and put an order on to close out 6, to close out 2, to close out 1. Yeah, you can get stopped negative. Well, you just miss out. He's talking about if it reverses. If it reverses, then you get stopped out. So if it would have, let's say you put on 10 here and it pulled up above this trade line and went and stopped out, well, then you're losing trade. And then if it pulls back, and I'm not really talking about walking away, I'm talking about limiting things you have to do while you're watching. So put on your 10. You could still sit here and watch it play out. Put on your 10 and put on a 6, put on a 2, put on a 1. And then all you got to do is manage the stop like we're doing. If it pulls back through the trend line, this trade line, gives a higher low, and then pulls back to test it and then turns, well, yeah, you might get stopped out on this, and then you'd have an entry to go long, but you're watching it. But this takes some of the stress out of it if you actually put your orders on to pull profit. Where are we at? Oh, we're at 80. Whoops, grabbed a line. I wanted to grab the chart. And I did not do this. I'm just going to leave that closed 1. I'm going to use that color here. We moved our stop here. Even though I messed up and put on a whole nother order. Oops, move stop. I do like the dual color thing. Look at that. Closed 6 and moved stop. And I could put the order moved here. I might have to go get lunch and bring it in here. We're at 90. I said if it was going to go, if we get to 50, we'll close one out. So I got 1 on sitting. Or we can close out half now. I don't know. Does anybody want me to do that? What do you guys want me to do? I'm trying to look. Is that a zone we hit? See, I haven't even looked out yet. Yeah, so I would draw down here. We have a 1 hour. And what I'd do is put my box from here to here, which we're about there. That's where I'd have mine right now. We had a good swing down here. Thanks, Lazarus. I definitely appreciate that. So we had a swing down as we broke through the 4 hour uptrend line, and that's where we're hitting. So 1 hour chart, pick the wick, and that's what we're going to say. If it can't break that, it might be due for a turnaround. And it just about hit that. So I should have probably closed out one there. If it pulls back down toward that level, I'll close one. It might be too late. I won't do it now. I'll wait. So we could come in and put we would want a, sorry, I got a ton of alarms. So we need a buy limit. If price is above it, so we have a sell on, and so we need to place an order in the opposite direction. So it needs to be a buy. A buy limit is when price is above it, comes down and hits it, then it buys. So that's what we have to put. We have to put the buy limit. I'll do 1, and I'm just going to put it right there. So that will close one off. Right now, I have to leave my stop at 2 because right now I still have 2 on. When it comes down, if it comes down and hits that buy limit, it will close one out. I have to change this one. That's just the way the broker is. I am going to move my stop to break even on this. And that right now I've protected myself. So I'm not going to lose anything, not going to gain anything. What is that, $1 too? So I'm not going to gain anything, but it's not about me locking in an extra $4 or $5 on this. It's about protecting our trade. We've already made all this profit in here. We've done good at managing this trade. So we're going to leave it on in case it happens to blow through that. I don't see it doing that. But there again, it broke through this 4-hour mark. But this is a good zone that we saw a big swing and come down, hit and back. Plus we're a 4-hour line. So it could pull back and hit this 4-hour line and come right back. It could stay in there the rest of the day on into the start of tomorrow. Don't know. So yeah, MC says close. I should have closed half, but wasn't thinking that quick. So right now we've protected that trade. No, we're not going to lose anything against it. And that's the only thing we're in because we're out of this as well. Oh no, we're in platinum still. Our platinum that died on us, just flat out died. It died. And look, again, how many times have you said that to yourself? Man, it almost hit my take profit. Did you paper trade it? Well, you love oil today, right? Lazarus says, I love oil. I think that's it. We love it today. We might hate it tomorrow. And that's where I like to trade multiple instruments. And I'm not trying to get you guys to, I believe you need to focus on one. But once you learn how to trade one, you can trade other ones. And that's where you come into the charts. I mean, in the morning I come in and I'm looking at 4. I see 4 charts. This is how my morning looks. They don't have all these lines on, these horizontal lines I've drawn. That's why I draw them as little rays off of highs, because I know I'm going to delete them later. And I don't want to get confused. I only use the horizontal line that goes all the way across when I'm marking like a 4-hour level. And even then, sometimes I'll use a ray. But when I come into my chart, at the end of the day, I will be cleaning this up. That right there. I'll be cleaning it up. The only reason these 3 trades are on here was because those are the 3 I was talking to you guys about the other day. There's that line I deleted. It was right here. Need to be aware of that. So I left them on to show you guys. Well, those are coming off today. I can delete them now while I'm sitting here waiting on platinum to do something. I mean, I'm not really doing anything. So I can go in and delete this stuff because I don't need it. And then, but I have to do that at the end of the day with all this stuff. It's just go delete the stuff. But I end up with a ton of stuff on the charts. And that's okay, because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to, we're getting another start. We'll see what happens. But this is what I look at in the morning. And then I will pull up just gold and oil and look to trade them. If I go to a 2 chart right now, it's actually going to show platinum and NQ. Oh no, it hit gold. So I would have to come in and change this to oil. My oil should be under my gold. And there's our trade on that one. But this is what I look at in the morning. I just have, I have all 4 charts open. I normally have them on a 4-hour. When I leave the computer at night, I put them back on a 4-hour time frame and walk away. So when I come in the morning, I'm forced to look at the 4-hour time frame because I have all 4 set on 4 hours. So I can see all 4 charts, and I'm forced to look at the 4-hour, and that makes me look at that big picture. Okay. NQ on there. Makes me look at the big picture. And then I'll dial it down, but I'm only looking at gold and oil first thing in the morning to get in. So we're getting our little false start here. We'll see what happens. It's still trying. It's still trying to launch off the bottom of this thing. So I may have just got in late. But this is really, this right here, what we've been doing today with oil, this is how thought out it should be as you're trading. Again, I don't have a TV on. Sometimes I will turn the TV on for background noise, but it's over there. It's on the wall. I can't really, I have to lean back to see it for one. I'll turn music on more than anything and have something playing. I don't have anything playing now because I'm talking, but I will typically have music playing. I don't like having a TV on or no YouTube something, movies. If I turn the TV on, because even when I had my desk set up in the old office, it was a little smaller. It was way smaller than this. I got 700 square feet in here in this room. It's phenomenal. But I had actually built a room on upstairs, and it was my office. Now I'm turning into a full-size laundry room for my wife. So that's to make her happy, keep her happy, not make her happy, keep her happy. So I used to have a TV playing a lot. I'd put a movie on, but it was noise. It's not something I'm watching. And if you think about it, I'd put a movie on I'd never seen, and I'm listening to it, but I'm not even watching the thing. And it would be something I hadn't even seen. Oh, cool. Yeah, we're still on, Bradley. Things are still moving. We're still in. Yeah, and it's pulled back. I might get stopped out, and I might have pulled my stop too close. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being done with oil. I mean, it's lunchtime. I got to eat sometime. So it's probably going to stop me out. It's pulled back to that downtrend line. We've had a nice downtrend line here. It's pulled back above that 4-hour trend line. It had a nice turn down here. We didn't close. It never pulled back down. I didn't get to, I know you guys said close. There we are. So we're out. Am I thinking longs? Not now. I'm not thinking longs. I'm on a 1-minute time frame. So I'm thinking oil, I'm done. I'm just done for the day. We locked in what we needed to make a good daily amount for the day. Again, whatever you're going for. Good trade overall. We could be done with oil. You don't have to trade these all day long. That's not the goal. Awesome. Lazarus said he locked in oil. 215 in oil, 239 in gold. So again, he's locked in over $400, about 440, 55, something. So over $450. So again, that's 2 trades over 200. And that may be his goal. Oh, okay. 239 total. with gold and oil. So oil was your big one. Oil was 215. Was that right? So 239 total. That's one day. So again, I don't know what he needs to make at the end of the month. And I don't know, guys, if it's just you guys have to make that up for yourself. And I've touched on that before, is you guys should know your numbers. You need to know it's a business. This is a business like any other business. You have to know your numbers. So if you're looking for 2,000 a month, again, that's 500 a week, 5 trading days, 100 per day is it. That was easily gotten here. That's it, one trade. And you got some bonus. We got some bonus on this. And then you walk away. You're done. For those wanting 4,000 a month, well, it's 200 a day. So he locked in a little over 200 on all. I like that. Oil just drank a Red Bull. So yeah, we had that turn right at that 1 hour candle wick right here. I didn't get to close out. So we're closed out the whole thing. I got to close that hanging order out. So right now I'm not in it, and I'm not thinking, I'm thinking overall it's pulled above a 4 hour trend line. It's pulled back up to test these highs, which we're here. This is support acting as resistance now, right now. So for me, I would start thinking, do I want to get in long if it pulls back in here, you know, and gives us a nice turn bounce and breaks this area? For me, it has to break this line right here. And then at that time, I would think about possibly going long, but it has to break that. So I'd set an alarm breaking up on candle close. I'd want to see a candle close. And at that point, I'm dialing down to a 3. I mean, I'd go out to I am on a 3 now. Forgot we switched over. But we're out. So only then would I be looking. And to me, it's lunchtime. Oh, we're up. I need to close out one of these. So we're up 200, or we hit 200. And I need to take that out, or it's going to close us all. So I went ahead and closed out one of the platinum, because remember I said we had 2 on, and I'm pretending like I'm that $100 trader. I need to close out one. So I went ahead, it was at 200 when I come in. So I went ahead and closed one out just now. It did not still hit my limit order. I closed that out manually. So I didn't measure this out. I just threw the limit order there earlier because it was right here around this area. Thinking, well, if it gets there, that's around $200 on 2. That'll close me out. Well, it just wicked back up there again, right to that level. And this right here is why you just cannot expect them always to go past the level. So your target has to be just shy. So we closed out one, stops where it is. About the only thing I can do now is manage the stop. And I should blow that up for you. And then I could do a trend line here to here. That's hardly nothing. I mean, if I extend that out, that's really like nothing. Those 2 wicks are too close. So to call that a trade line up, I can put it there. We could see if that gets respected. Because right now we're just, it's printing some candles that are like really, really steep. I mean, this is a real steep move. The only time it doesn't become steep, I can make it not look steep if I blow it up like that. Well, now it doesn't look as steep. That's because our candles are bigger than anything. Okay, and drawing something like that, we just know that it's going to get broke eventually because that's super steep. So I wouldn't even do that because we already know that's too steep. We already know where it's at. We know that right now it's at that candle high. So we know we might get a pullback. It's all about setting yourself up so you're not really shocked and surprised. So it could track more sideways or even pull back to one of these lines. That's what I'd love to see because we're still in it. As far as moving the stop, right now my stop is where it should be. It's below these lows. Because remember, like 3 times, is it 3 or 4 times? It is wicked down to that area. I mean, it wicked here, here. So I put my stop where I should have put it. I mean, it's where it was. I need to change this to a 1. We only have 1 on. Just don't forget when you close one or close partial, make sure that your stop order matches. So again, I put my stop where I should because of those wicks, because I would not have wanted to get wicked out here. I mean, if I would have put my stop, up above the wick area, can you imagine if it come back down and just wicked me out and then took off? I'd be kicking myself. So since it wicked down here, since these candles, the lows of them are here, I have to keep my stop out of the way. That is the safer bet. That's putting the odds in my favor. Because if I were to put my stop up above this level, I'm not keeping the odds in my favor. Because the odds are it already wicked down 3 times. If I have my stop up here, the odds are that it could wick back down. It could have on this candle wicked down and stopped me out. So if I put my stop there, that is a bad decision, bad business decision, bad trade decision on my part. Because let's say I did that and it wicked down, take me out, and it just pulled to this level, I'd be kicking myself because it goes up. It's up now. We'd be in the positive. And you say to yourself, it took me out, and I know everybody said this to themselves, it took me out right before it went. And you look back and go, well, dummy. It's no wonder it took me out. Look at this. Look at these wicks. It's no wonder it took me out. I put my stop in the wrong place. So again, it's stacking the odds in our favor. Right now we're getting a healthy pullback. I don't really care on it. We're on one trade. I can't, to move my stop to better than break even, I would have to say right now, if I said to myself, I'm done. I want to go to lunch. I want to be done trading. I'm just done. We did good on oil. We did good on other trades. I'm done trading. I don't want a loss. Right now, I don't want a loss against all my gains I've locked in. If that was me, I'd move my stop to better than break even. And just know that I'm probably going to get taken out. And I'm okay with that. We just locked in that extra 100. Okay. But for me, I'm thinking, okay, made a low, higher high, higher low, and then just didn't launch. Did not go make a higher high. Instead, made a lower high. But then on this pullback, it did make a higher low finally. And then now it pulled up to make a higher high, but stalled out at that one. It's just not ready to go. But you got to look at what time it is too. It's 12:30. So that being said, it may never go. Now, eventually, it's going to go one way or another. Is it going to pop back below this 4-hour zone, through it and below? I don't know. So right now, to me, I've locked in profit on it. Because remember, I didn't get in this platinum at all till it pulled back here. Till it pulled back here, right? Yeah, green candle in. So I got in, was it that one or this one? Guys, I don't even remember. I didn't mark it. I needed to mark it. I'd have to go back and look at the trade order. I did not mark it with the call outs. So we did good on this. You locked in the $100. It's going to pull back. If it pulls back down here, because right now, if you look at the price level, So we can pull a ruler. I don't know if you guys, you've used the ruler. There's a measuring tool. We were up 200 up here. We closed out one. So that's 100 per contract. So use your measuring tool if you want and go, okay, from there to there, it's 22. If you look at the number on the right, it is 22. Okay. So at that 22 points, that was $200. And we closed out one. So right there, if that 22 point move is 100 to the positive, if we come down here, that is a 22 point move to the negative. Well, imagine that. So if it comes and hits our stop, unfortunately, we're going to lose 100. And we only locked in 100. It's going to be a wash on platinum. So am I okay with this being a washout? This whole trade that we got in, or that I got in, not a we. Nobody else pushed my buttons over here. Am I okay with that being a wash? I am. I mean, look at what we just did in oil, what we did earlier in gold, NASDAQ. You know, we had several trades that we profited on that were in a profit overall for the day. So am I okay? I know I only closed out one contract, only got 100 locked in. That's not real impressive. I mean, it's my daily goal. If that's what you're doing, you're locking in 100 per trade, 100 per trade, every trade, boom, 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 100 per trade. You've taken 3 or 4, you've locked in 400, you've had bonus, you've locked in about 500-600 per day. That's great. 500 for the day. I mean, just 10 trading days in a month, that's $5,000. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with it pulling all the way back and hit my stop, because this just becomes a break-even trade. I don't win anything. I don't lose anything. Okay, that's it. It's a wash. Am I okay with that being a wash versus closing it now and getting 55? I'm okay. I'm okay letting this be a washout in case it goes clear up here and breaks this high. Because what has it done? Historically, here, this is 745. So historically, since it launched at 745 on top of the zone and had a push up, I know this, I'm saying historically, and it's only been a few hours. It went up, bam, hit that level. Went back up a little higher, bam, hit that level. Went back up a little higher, bam, hit that level. What if it does that again? What if it goes a little higher? So what I would do is, what if it tracks that right there? What if that is what it tracks? And I'll draw a blue line in there. That's my triangle that I drew, my reverse pendant, flag, whatever you want to call it. What if it does go up and make a little bit higher, a little bit higher? So what if it goes up and hits the top of that area? That should be my target. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to leave it. Why wouldn't I? Yes, if it stops me out, unfortunately, I'm not going to gain anything on this whole trade that I sat through. But as I sat through this, I didn't just sit and stare at this. I was in oil, making money in oil. So we were making money as oil trended. Platinum, yeah, who knows? It may stop out. If it, and I'm fine with that, because if it does pull down here, stop me out, guess what it's probably going to do? It's probably going to break through this 4-hour zone. So I'd be okay with that. I'm going to look for a setup on the opposite side. And I'm not looking at this first anyways. So for me, I'm going to leave platinum on, and then we'll see what happens. So I'll post a picture out there. Who knows? It may launch, it may not. And this is why you cannot jump in just when a trend line's broke. I mean, it broke, Oil came all the way back up and broke, took us out. I'm out of the trade, and we didn't lose anything on the runner. So this has been a very successful trade. I love the different colors here because that paints a whole picture for me or anybody. Anybody you show this picture to will know what you did. They know that you entered. It says you entered short 10 contracts here. Your stop was here. Then we switched to orange. So if we follow these, you know, they're kind of skewed now because I don't have it in zoomed in where it should be. If you follow these, then orange, you closed out 6 here at this price. You moved your stop there. Okay. Then you moved your stop. Oh, purple. I need to move this over. So when we get to the purple, you closed out 2 here. Your order moved. When you did that, your order moved to here, and you moved your stop to here. And then we get to the blue, whatever it is. Then at that point is when we close the one, move the stop, order moved. Where? So it paints a huge picture, and we're out right now because I pulled my stop where I did, and all it's done so far is it's had a nice retracement, and then it's pulling right back to that 4-hour zone. So again, right now I'm out, and the only thing I'd be looking to do in oil is right now I'd have to see this zone broke to go to the high side, this zone broke to go to the low side. I know that's a big swing. So in between, I can trade it back and forth, but we also have a 4-hour trend line there. So that's what we're doing. I'm out of everything. We're going to ride platinum, see what happens with it. So guys, I'm going to kill the live. I got to get something to eat. So I know we went for a while. I hope you enjoyed this one because I'm going to do a little mix. I know we typically will do the morning pre-market analysis. And I think most of you guys know how to do that. I'll still do that and post stuff on that. But after you do that, I'm going to be getting in. I'm always getting in trades every day. So I'll start doing something more like this where we get into trades, we monitor the trades. I don't want to distract you guys. That is the one thing I don't want to do. So I'm looking at 4 things, and that's why I mentioned this back and forth. I'm in gold and oil first. Then we'll look at ES and NASDAQ after U.S. stock market opens. And then what we will do after that is, what do I want to say? Then we'll look for platinum. But I look at all 4 pre-market. And there might be a day we come in where platinum's really set up or NASDAQ and ES is set up. But I really don't like NASDAQ ES till U.S. stock market. But as we look at other things, but I don't want to get distracting. So as you look at what I'm doing, you can trade this way on every instrument. So if you have an instrument you trade, don't think that, oh, he's trading gold and oil and platinum and NASDAQ. So that's what I should trade. Okay. Because I look at more than just these. You'll see my list over here. Well, you don't see it right now because I closed off the share. But I've got platinum. Here's the list down my list: platinum, gold, oil, ES, and NASDAQ. I also have Bitcoin, but then I also have British pound, Australian dollar, because those are 2 of the currencies that I trade. I do have natural gas. I don't really trade it, never have, but I'm tracking it. And then all the Canadian dollars also. The British pound, Australian dollar, and Canadian dollar. Those are 3 currencies I trade. I have Ethereum up. Never traded Ethereum. I track it, though, with Bitcoin. And then, of course, I have Russell and Dow Jones. Russell and Dow Jones is in the same market with S&P and NASDAQ. So those are the 4 you'd want to trade after 9:30 Eastern. Okay. Let me know, guys. Let me know in the Discord when you guys get back in there. Just let me know how this streamed. Did it stream okay? Was it laggy at all? Does the video, is it tracking good with my sound right now as I talk? Because that was an issue too. So I upgraded all that to a higher video quality as well. My camera's like 1080. So I'm trying to stream that at 1080 as well. It doesn't really matter what I look like. The biggest thing is what the charts look like for you guys is what I care about. But again, sorry, I am losing my voice or something. But again, don't let me distract you. As I'm trading this stuff, just know that the way I'm doing this, the way I'm managing my stop, the way I'm pulling profit, you can do that on anything you trade. I don't care if it's even stocks, but that's the way you should be managing your trades. I'm a firm believer on getting your daily profit so that you get a paycheck at the end of the month, or else why are you sitting here? I don't think anybody wants to sit here 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and not make a dime. I wouldn't. In fact, my wife wouldn't let me. Okay. So that being said, if the market has given me profit, if oil moves and I'm in profit, if I don't take the profit, am I doing my job? If I don't close partial, am I doing my job? I'm not, because I have to have a paycheck at the end of the month. That's where that, take partial comes into play. Okay. So just remember that. It looked good. Chart and video look good. I'm a little laggy. I'm okay if I'm laggy. I want my voice to match up is the biggest thing when it comes to that. So the biggest thing is, as long as our charts aren't laggy, as long as when I move the mouse and stuff, it's not laggy. And then as I'm doing stuff on the charting, if my voice matches up, that's the biggest, that's where we need everything to sync. So the internet was running better today. I don't know why, because all of a sudden magically I'm hitting top speeds on this fiber optic. After I talked to him yesterday, imagine that all of a sudden, after talking to him for about 4 days, now magically I'm running optimal speed, which is of course what I've been paying for and not getting. So hopefully that'll change, because it's still not the best. All right, guys. So I'll kill the live. We'll be back in here tomorrow to do it again. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it. I'm going to stay in platinum. We'll ride it out and see. It may be a wash, but that's okay. It's just against the gains we locked in. So we really don't care, but we're leaving it on in case it goes to that new high. So I'm going to grab some lunch and I will talk to you guys later.